Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Will it be another fantastic Friday? Well, I think so. With your participation, your input, contribution, we're going to make it so. 8949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Remember, that press briefing is scheduled for 2 p.m. today, so between now and then, let's hear from you. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Also brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile. Saving lives today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
And good afternoon. Welcome back. Trust and pray that you're doing good so far. The week hasn't been feeling as if it's just a week. Hasn't been a year. Well, share with us as you wish. 949-8037. Or if you have a flow number and you can call us on a toll-free line, well, 1-800-534-8255. Or if you wish, you can send us a WhatsApp, 925-3261. Couple of quick WhatsApps that we want to share with you as well. But as we invite you to maybe weigh in on some of the topical issues, maybe you might want to join into the discussion and speculate, given the hints that the Premier sort of, doled out during the week. What do you think are going to be some of the changes coming forward, if any, relative to the situation we're in? Will the beaches be open and to what extent? Well, we get to those, but first, let's join a good friend from the Family Resource Center, Andre Bailey. Good afternoon. How are you today?
I am good, Sterling. Thank you for having me. Good afternoon to you too.
Yeah, man. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I recognize that the weeks and I don't know. So far, have felt more like years. Somebody said it's only been 6 weeks. You sure it hasn't been 60 years. So it's good to know that we have an opportunity to get a semblance of being part of an active community. And I am excited what you shared with us yesterday. So please remind us again today. We're celebrating.
Well, today is the day. We're actually celebrating International Day of Families today, May 15th. So every year on May 15th, the world recognizes International Day of Families. This is a UN observed day, and we are happy as the Family Resource Center to be the ones pushing this on the island to celebrate and observe the families in our community, especially during this period when we are facing the coronavirus.
Indeed, man. I wrote down, for my notes and preparing for IDF and how to stop. Is that the Israeli Defense Force? And I had to keep thinking, so it's National Day of the Families, no?
National Day of Families, that's right.
Yeah, man. And you have some good things going on relative to the competition and how families, while they're inside of their quarters, limited movements and all the like, can get involved and posting up videos, things that we seem to be doing more and more. So why not make it better today, huh?
Exactly so. So we are, like I said, promoting our activity. We're having a fun family activity today. We're inviting families to take a picture of themselves or record a short video of them doing an activity during this period, and for them to post it on Facebook and tag the Family Resource Center in that photograph or in that video. And we ask you to have a sign of some sort that says IDF 2020 or International Day of Families 2020, for us to know that your photo is done, is current, is new, and that you're actually participating in the event. And then tonight at midnight, when the competition closes, based on the number of likes that your photo or your video receives, then the winner will be selected. I could say that the grand prize for the family that wins the contest tonight will receive a shopping voucher of $200. It's a grocery voucher, and that's $200 shopping voucher. They'll also be featured in the FRC, the Family Resource Center newsletter, and that family will also be take part in one of our social media campaigns. We also have prizes for second and third place, so we're not just looking at one family. Several families, at least 3, are able to win something. The second place family will be awarded with a restaurant voucher for a family of 4. And then the third place family will receive free ice cream or gelato delivered to their door. So the ice cream or gelato of your choice will be delivered to your door, as well as the second place. Whatever restaurant you choose, then food from that restaurant will also be delivered to you.
Excellent, man. Excellent. Another way to engage, because I know if it wasn't that we were in this particular predicament, you would have these events unfolding as we celebrate, and another focus on our families, as it were. Now, the video you referenced yesterday had to be a certain time limit. I think you said no more than 15 years long, the video? No. How long is the video?
No, well, we asked for it to be a 30-second video. We wouldn't want to, have families feeling too stressed about it. Nothing more. Some persons are camera shy, and that's true. And they're video shy, if you will. So nothing more than a 30-second video. It could be doing anything. It could be talking. It could be sitting to play a game. Whatever it is, be creative. We invite persons to be creative with their photographs. Be creative with the videos. A 30-second video is good. Some persons are using the TikTok app to create videos, and that's fine. Once whatever app you use, or even just the recording on your phone itself, or if you have a professional camera, who knows? However it is you want to do it, whatever format you want to use, record that 30-second video or take that photograph, post it, include the IDF sign, and you're good to go in terms of entry. But be sure to tag the FRC so we are also able to see it and to follow the likes that will come to your photographs and your videos.
Exactly, man. And I hope that a lot of it participate, because we're seeing amongst our friends and families and the groups that we have that a lot of us are sharing little things from inside, just pretending to move from one part of the house to the next as if it's an adventure. So people have been, yeah, man. So I'm excited to, as you are, to encourage your families in this time to realize. I joke about it, but it is true. For some people, the day is exceedingly long, and 1 second may feel like a year in some minds. So that mental recognition of how important our health is. This is another way to engage the family while we're home, and maybe take a break away from it. That 30-second video could take us a few hours of the day just to compose. It could be just, one quick 30-second shot, and that's it. You never know. People
we are here calling it quick and easy. Like you said, it's something that people have been doing for some time now. So it could be quick and easy. Just shoot a quick video and take it. And something might be, the more candid it is, the more funny it might be, and the more likes you might receive. So be creative, have fun in doing it. At the end of the day, while we're saying it's a contest and while we are giving a prize for those who get the most likes and so on, at the end of the day, what we are trying to do is promote family fun. We are promoting unity, and we're giving persons an opportunity to do something as a family unit while they shelter in place and weather the storm.
Yeah, man. As we were sharing yesterday too, the fact that today is Friday in and of itself, hopefully would allow families, in all seriousness, we find how the weeks in the day sort of meld into one, but to be reminded that it is Friday. It is kind of like the traditional end of the work week for some. So here is a way to celebrate that accomplishment. The school day is over. Maybe the work week is drawing to a close, and let's do something. Replace the game night and make it engaging and fun, as you shared, for the family.
Right. As a matter of fact, somebody asked me earlier if it is that it's just them and the child, if that's allowed. And I was like, yes, we do have single parent families, and we have a few of those on island, and we appreciate that and we acknowledge that to be so. So if it's just you and your child, that's fine. Somebody else asked earlier if it's just them and their husband, if that's fine. I was like, well, that's your family. Take a video with you. If it's just you and your husband, or just you and your wife, or your significant other, whatever your family composition is, then that's your family. And we are acknowledging you today because it's the International Day of Families celebrated worldwide.
There it is, man. Whatever comprises your family, that is, your family.
Yeah.
But you wish ensure that they put up the sign so that we know it's it's today and it's this year's celebration.
That is correct.
All right. Well, that'll probably be my challenge on how to write a sign that's legible, maybe.
It could be something, take a pen and draw ideas. It could be simple. It could be creative. Paint it on your face. Yeah. I want to tell you, could use a paint and just paint it on your forehead, ideas, and that counts. We see it, it's visible there, and you're observing the day, and that's all we want for persons to be aware. I mean, the greater message for International Day is that it increases the awareness and the knowledge of the social and the economic hardships that families face. And yesterday we spoke about how increasingly now in this period of COVID-19, families are being hit hard because they are facing the brunt of the problem in terms of being at home, teaching and learning in the home, as well as working from home. So the family unity is really being stressed at this point, and we want families to know that the Family Resource Center is here to support at all levels. We are still open for business, as you were. Our phone numbers remain 949-0006. That's 949-0006. You may contact us by email address frc@gov.ky. So persons are reminded that they could contact us those ways. They could also meet us through social media or by our website, frc.gov.ky. So the Family Resource Center is here to support you, and we want to encourage you to participate in a competition. But even outside of that, know that as an agency, we are still here to support.
Yes, man. Certainly appreciate you and all your colleagues. And as you shared, especially during this time, whether it's the whole issue of the impact being economic, or it just maybe that the family itself is feeling overwhelmed with all the various challenges that sort of made life a little bit different for us all now. Mr. Bailey, we would love very much if, when you get the information, the winners, maybe share with us sometime next week how it went. It'll already be all over social media, but it's good to know on the radio.
No problem. We'll have that follow-up to share on your program who the winner is, if they don't mind sharing it. Well, I mean, it's a public competition, so if given a chance, we will definitely do that. And thank all the families who participated today.
All right. Well, thank you again to you and your colleagues. And any closing thoughts you want to remind us of the competition? It closes midnight tonight, right?
The competition closes at midnight, so you'd simply ask to take a photograph or a video, 30-second video long, showing your family doing something during this period. Include the sign IDF 2020 or International Day for Families, and post the video on Facebook and tag the FRC, that's the Family Resource Center, tag the Family Resource Center, and ask your friends and your family and so on to like your video. And the family with the most likes at the end of the night, the top 3 families, will receive the prizes.
All right, there you go, man. Well, Justin, pray there'll be some good fun, some excellent videos, and the families, as you share, would enjoy, this time together and preparing the videos and the photographs. So have a good weekend as well, Mr. Bailey.
Yeah, thank you so much. You too.
You're most welcome. All right, with that, let's pause quickly, take a short break. When we come back, we invite you to call 1-800-534-8255 or 949-8037. You can even WhatsApp 925-3261. Going to share some WhatsApp messages with us as well. But stay tuned for Talk Today.
Social distancing is crucial for our community to get back to normal. And never before has communication been so crucial. Keeping in touch with family, friends, and up to date requires you to stay in touch. Green Turtle offers the solution for both. Download the Green Turtle app now. Top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination in Cayman. Phones delivered to your home, and with the new rewards program, you can even redeem points towards a new phone and other products. Download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today. It can help save a life. Hashtag Stay Home Cayman. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
Bring a little bit of luck to your house with Lucky Slice from America. Burgers, steak, and the all-day American breakfast. From Europe, fish and chips, pizza and crepes. And from Asia, sushi.
Breakfast, lunch, or dinner, 7 days a week, delivery or pickup, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. In these difficult times, we can all use a little bit of luck. Keep calm and stay lucky.
Minimize contact. Make your credit card payment by phone. Pay only for food. No delivery fee. No service charge. Certain restrictions apply. Call Lucky Slice Pizza to place your delivery order now. 949-3456.
Order from Cayman Creperie, Mojo Sushi, and Lucky Slice Pizza. Call 949-3456.
I will lift my voice and say, Lord, I'll worship you because of who you are.
This Sunday, May 17th, Williams Productions, in association with Radio Cayman, are pleased to bring you a broadcast of the Crab Family Concert held at the Lions Center in 2018. Previously sponsored by the Office of the Premier and the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Relive the memories with a special tribute broadcast in honor of all of our frontline staff working to keep our islands safe. Join Radio Cayman this Sunday, May 17th from 7 to 9 p.m. for the special broadcast of the Crab Family Concert.
Hello, Cayman. I'm Quincy Brown. Anybody else getting mixed up with all these new coronavirus terms? Me too. But guess what? I've watched the press conferences and I've read the press releases and I've seen all the social media posts. Look here, I can help you out. Shelter in place. Stay home. Stay out of Johnny Public. Una got it now? If Una want to stay up to the time with what's going on, there's only one place for the real information: the Cayman Islands government. Visit gov.ky/coronavirus. Now remember, keep washing your hands, keep following the rules, and keep taking care of each other. Saving lives is Caymankind.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. Now, as a quick reminder, go ahead if you're up to it and feel inclined. Get your family to participate today. International Day of the Family, and be a part of the competition, the celebration that the Family Resource Center is putting on. Who knows? You might be one of the 3 top winners. Maybe even take the top prize. It is open line, and as we shared, we're expecting the press briefing to be at 2 p.m. today. Perhaps many of us are looking at it in anticipation of some of the things that may come down the pipeline. Certainly, if you're inclined and want to weigh in, hey, go right ahead, 949-8037, or if you can more than welcome to use the toll-free line. That's 1-800-534-8255, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Let's share a couple of opinions and comments that some have placed on our WhatsApp. This one reads, says, military boots on the ground in Cayman doesn't mean that that's a bad thing. Says, we need all the help we can get to fight this enemy pandemic. They say they should be welcomed, in my humble opinion. We have nothing to fear, only the coronavirus itself. The fact that the military and government operatives have considered that it speaks to the level of seriousness we're facing at this time. And another heightened level of security towards our well-being may be playing out. That's all. They're here to protect us from the unknown and foreseen dangers, even though God also looks over us. Criminals should beware. As for the good law-abiding citizens, let's give them our hands. Another WhatsApp asks the question, says, will the construction workers who are returning to work expected to be tested? In fact, what about any workers returning to work? So if you want to send your thoughts on our WhatsApp, well, 925-3261. Let's read another WhatsApp message. But first, let's take this caller. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon to you, Sterling Green.
And good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. How are you? I hope you're well.
Yes, thank you. Thanks to God, I'm fine. My family and I, the family. And yes, I hope the same I can say for you and your family. You know, yes, I agree with that sentiment there about the military regiment. All the colonies have always had a regiment. Always had. Jamaica by far being the most populous over here in the Caribbean. I'm talking about British colonies. And the French and the Spanish and the Dutch also had theirs. Now, they always had. Jamaica had a huge regiment there. Always did. Now they have their own, and they have helicopters and planes and the vessels protecting the coast and all that. They've had up to that. Now, it is necessary. I heard someone on a talk show, don't remember if it was yours, then most of yours I listened to, but I also listened to another one. Sandhurst is a place that teaches people how to kill people, and that's not a very fair or positive thing to say at all. It teaches people to become military soldiers and the use of weapons and how to defend your country and save lives. Not only killing, you have to kill sometimes to defend your country.
I hear you. But they do kill. I mean, they teach them to kill there, right?
They teach you how to kill when it's necessary, when you're defending the lives of your fellow men or your country. It is necessary to teach you also that you will get into situations most of you won't have to kill. Most people who go to wars have never killed anyone. Even in a police force, you're taught to use weapons and also taught that.
I hear you. And one thing I really welcome with you is that you are knowledgeable and you're willing to share your opinion. But if I could ask, in light of that, we look at Costa Rica, for instance. Oscar Arias, its president, was given the Nobel Peace Prize. Maybe sometimes we forget that. But here's a country, maybe an example for this region, if not for the globe, of its approach to governance and the like when it comes to, the deployment of force and troops and military and guns and, all that other stuff. I mean, what do you think of that?
Yeah, well, I'm not too familiar with their system. I have good friends from Costa Rica here for many, many years. But in reality, they didn't have to go to war to defend anyone, really, and others in any serious way. So I'm not sure, but they do have military. They have police and so forth. But that's not the point I'm making. I'm just trying to say that it is not fair to say that one thing and don't continue into the other thing, what it is for. It's not fair. I have a grandnephew who is a U.S. Special Forces serving in Afghanistan. He has done his tours of duty 3 as a matter of fact, and they're specialized people, as you know, Special Forces. The Ranger, it's the Army equivalent to the Green Berets. You have to kill if it's absolutely necessary. Their main missions are saving lives. rescuing people who have been kidnapped and who have been captured, who need to be saved. So I just like to end that part of the conversation because we're not going to get anywhere with anything with that because I'm adamant about that. That we need to face facts and realize that in today's world, you need to be able to defend your country when the time comes for it.
And I certainly don't want to be argumentative and sort of belabor, but if I could maybe, as you said, don't say one thing and not, include the other. In relation to, in relation to the, right, but in relation to the training and the like, could I invite you to consider another perspective? We talk about it not being fair, and we recognize that the Honorable Premier said, well, no, nothing is fair, right? In this instance, what if we, instead of having that level of training, if you're willing to engage, why don't we create something similar to a civil defense registry, where instead of teaching them how to, kill with a gun, maybe you teach them how to do first aid, how to be
civil defense registry.
No, and put in place, right? We got these CERT programs, for instance, extend that so that the country as a whole, all of its citizens are positioned with the skill sets and the resources, so we know who we have in the community with their skill sets. We all have, not just basic first aid training, but we can figure out if it's going to be for, as they've shared, utilized after a hurricane or some other disaster.
We already have that in place. We can teach many people
No, we seemingly not,
help people.
Yeah, but what's the point in having guys running around in uniform, armed to the teeth with machine guns and high-powered rifles and assault rifles and stuff? Is that help a person after a hurricane? The intent is for them to be, what is it, provide security in case there's potential looting and the like. I mean, if we're going to advance a nation, why continue to expend billions of dollars globally, right, on arming, on warfare? You talked about, defending a nation, but how many countries have been invaded and how many countries have done the invading and the conquering and the like? So should we not move forward in this time of trying to have a sense of global peace? And what do you think?
I understand what you're trying to say, Sterling Green, and people have been saying this for many years. That's why I often say it sounds like a broken record, that our students, our children need to be taught about the Second World War. It's history. We were taught that in school, and we all grew up long after it ended. I was born very shortly after it ended, of course, but it has changed the whole world and a concept forever of what we're doing. And if the Prime Minister of England, Winston Churchill, had thought that way, do you realize what would have happened to this world, the free world? We would not be free now. It would be a very different world. You have to come to the realization that the price of freedom is expensive. A few will have to die to keep the majority free. It's a simple philosophy, but it has always worked. But that is not what I'm talking about here, because we do not really have to more or less defend ourselves. And I never heard anything that anything was intended for people to be running around with machine guns and in uniforms. I like to say uniform. I've always believed in uniforms. I've always believed in it. And I, for one, believe that everybody in a workplace should wear a uniform, saying where you work and giving you a name.
Yeah.
I believe in that. And I believe that every human being living in the Cayman Islands and adults should have on them, it should be mandatory at all times, a means of government-recognized identification. You should not be allowed to go around without that. I've always believed that, and I've always said it, and I believe in it, that you should be able to identify yourself. And it should be with a number, of course, because you can have the same name as somebody else, but you cannot have the same number. Numbers identify you. But what I wanted to say, and it's ironic, but a few months ago, just to show you how we should be very careful before we jump up and listen to people who are well-intended in what they're saying. Their intentions might be very honorable and very, at the moment, thinking it's the best thing. But we noticed the people 3-4 months ago were saying every day on the radio, too many cars on the road, and I'll forever say that. Much too many cars have been allowed to come into Cayman. We could have stopped that a long time ago, and we see the problem it created. But now we have much less cars on the road, albeit we didn't know that it would happen this way. We also used to hear that it is alarming to see that most cars on the road, the thousands on the road, had only one passenger, one person, the driver. But now we're seeing where the police are questioning people why there are more than two people or more than one person in a car. Isn't that ironic? We also heard, isn't that ironic? We also heard, just think about it, we also heard people complaining about the price of gas, and it is high. And it could be lower. We all know that. We won't go into that now. But we have seen the price of gas come down 70 to 80 cents a gallon in some cases. See how these things happen? And we heard about a plastic-free Cayman. We were trying to get them to ban plastic bags found on the beaches. Arrest the people who are putting the plastic bags on the beaches. Enforce the law. But now we see where you have to get plastic bags to do your shopping. They're giving them away now instead of charging you the 5 cents. Isn't it ironic? This is why I say we have to have plastic. We depend heavily on plastic. The cell phone you have in your hand, that I have in mine, the fans, everything, the cars, everything encompasses plastic. The computers, everything, the ships, a lot of plastic, the cars, you name it, it's there. It is there to stay. It's there to stay. So when we say plastic free, you have to be careful. The same thing with utilizing one part of a phrase. The Sandhurst kills people to kill people. That's not the purpose of Sandhurst at all. It means you to have discipline in your life and to have respect for others' lives and to try to help to keep the freedom going. And we have to understand at all times there's a risk that we can lose our free country. There's always be that risk.
We are at risk of losing that now. I mean, look at the potential abuse that may be existing. Could we, instead of Sandhurst, could we achieve the same thing by going somewhere else? Could we deploy the resources here and bring the trainers here? I mean, after all, isn't
all those resources that they're deploying for Sandhurst, I don't know how much it is. I don't know if it's a great amount of money to train people. Yes, we can train people here. There are ways and means of training people in sociologist Dr. Frank McField, and to have that social and kind effect. Every day we talk about Cayman kind and helping each other. That can be taught easily as you're growing up. You're taught these things. You can be taught first aid systems.
Yes,
there are people here able to teach that. There are people here able to teach you how to do, and we can put money into that, and we should, the social aspect of things. But always, this is a separate thing. There has to be that idea of a military presence. Though small it may be in our country. And another thing we have to do is try to start to think about small factories here. From many years ago, Mr. Jim Borden, my cousin, used to always talk to me about that. I've never forgotten that. He's always said, Mick, this is over 40 years ago. That conversation we had a couple of times. My greatest fear is that this is a Disney World type of system and economy that we have. He would have liked to have seen little factories. I said, Jim, maybe we could start fabricating things like putting together fridges and all that, the parts sent to us, radios, different things like they do in Ireland with the electronics for car companies all over the world, particularly Japanese and Korean. The electronics are done here in Ireland, a lot of it. And those kind of things that would enable people to to utilize their skills, and there's no big university degree you need to do that. Women here are very adept at the start work, and that's what it takes for the electronic components, put them together with the guidance of your diagram them. So it's very simple stuff. And all that we could be doing, and we should have been doing for a long time. This will push us into that. This will help to push us into getting away from the idea that everything has to be done about banking and financing. That's all great, but that's not all the all and end all. We need to teach our people and open up little factories here and there, and this may do it. This may very well do that for us, so we can become dependent, and especially the agricultural part of it. But anyway, I just thought I'd mention that, particularly about the Sandhurst thing and the regiment thing and so forth. I think it's a good idea. Need some discipline in our young people. Discipline.
Well, we probably discipline in our entire society. So, hey, thank you very much, sir. And I always appreciate you allowing us to engage, man. You're remarkable.
Stand by.
Yes, sir. Have a great weekend and continue to be safe and well. All right. Respectfully, let's pause. And when we come back, well, hopefully you'll be able to weigh in. Stay tuned.
Start getting your debt under control with a debt consolidation loan from Fidelity Bank. At Fidelity, your loan decision is quick with no runaround. Plus, with competitive interest rates and fees, we will help you reduce your monthly payments and get you back to living again. Don't let the burden of overwhelming debt tie you down this year. Call Fidelity today and let's make it happen with a Fidelity Bank debt consolidation loan. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Home, which should be a haven, can even be less of a safe space during curfew if someone is experiencing child abuse. If you or anyone you know is being abused, help is nearby. For emergencies, call 911. They will redirect your call to the relevant agencies. For general guidelines and inquiries, call the Multi-Agency Safeguarding Hub, MASH, at 1-800-534-2273 or 945-0545. Alternatively, email mash@gov.ky.
This is a public service announcement from your Radio Cayman, your community radio station. Here are some coronavirus prevention tips.
Home isolation means staying indoors and completely avoiding contact with other people. You need to do this if you have symptoms of COVID-19. If you are practicing home isolation, you should stay in a well-ventilated room with a window to outside that can be opened separate from other people in your home. Keep the door closed and use a separate bathroom from the rest of the household if available. If you have to share these facilities, regular sterilization will be required. Consider drawing up a bathroom schedule for washing or bathing and have the isolated person using the facilities last.
For the latest updates and information, please visit hsa.ky/public-health/coronavirus or gov.ky/coronavirus.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for joining us. I want you to engage in our conversation, share your thoughts and your opinions, and if we can do so in a very, I guess what I say, informed, involved, engaging way, even if we're not necessarily on the same page, maybe that would allow us to have even more meaningful dialogue and encourage others to equally think, ask questions, become informed, and be prepared to share so that more of us can at least feel the semblance that we're participating. Remember now, the press briefing is scheduled for 2 p.m. and I've been, sort of intrigued by some of the various comments that we're receiving from individuals relative to their speculation as to what the government may do. Some of it, just sort of posed in a rather cheeky way as they ask questions. But the gist is, what, if anything, will happen relative to the beaches, and interesting as well, relative to fishing and the like. Maybe after the news break, we can read and share some of those things, expound on perhaps the last caller's sentiments, and invite us. Perhaps, like everything else, fear will not only paralyze our movements and our thought processes, but will allow us to become in such a state that we'll accept anything simply because, we are so fearful. Maybe that'll be like how it is on the day of judgment. You're asked to deny and you quickly capitulate, or will you stand your ground, even though you know that, death in this realm would be evident, but would there be life eternal? For those who believe in that sort of vein, then who knows what we'll do when faced with that situation. Well, let's hear what our news team has in store for us. When we come back, more talk today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have here on island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
For today's biggest news. Access.
Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
The Cayman Islands Government Office in the UK continues to operate a remote working model, which will remain in place until at least June 15th, at which point it will be reassessed. The department has a 5-member team who are working remotely, conducting daily internal team Zoom calls, answering consular services inquiries, assisting Caymanians in need via phone, email, and other applications, and assisting with the coordination of the emergency airbridge flights between London and Georgetown. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. A vaccine against coronavirus appears to have provided protection against the disease COVID-19 in 6 rhesus macaque monkeys. It gives early hope for the vaccine, which is now undergoing human clinical trials. There's no guarantee this result will translate to people, though. And Florida police are searching for 2 NFL players after they allegedly robbed people at a house party. DeAndre Baker of the New York Giants and Quinton Dunbar of the Seattle Seahawks are said to have robbed other guests at gunpoint. About $12,000 in cash and watches worth up to $25,000 were taken. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
For nearly 20 years, King Sports Center has been the heart of the Cayman fitness and wellness community. In order to ensure the welfare of all, we are temporarily closed until further notified by the Cayman Islands government that it is safe to reopen. During these trying times, we encourage everyone to maintain a healthy lifestyle, mind, body, and soul. We look forward to continuing providing you with world-class service in the very near future. Remain strong and continue to show the world the power of Cayman unity. King Sports Center, shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Social distancing is crucial for our community to get back to normal. And never before has communication been so crucial. Keeping in touch with family, friends, and up to date requires you to stay in touch. Green Turtle offers the solution for both. Download the Green Turtle app now. Top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination in Cayman. Phones delivered to your home, and with the new rewards program, you can even redeem points towards a new phone and other products. Download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Hashtag Stay Home Cayman. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
These are stressful times. We can all use a little break from the stress.
I got ice cream for you.
Did you know, according to Science Times, eating ice cream in moderation can help reduce stress? You're not dreaming. You heard correct. Ladies, gentlemen, and kids alike, Cayman Ice Cream is here to save your day. With home delivery of the best homemade ice cream on the island. Quality assurance guaranteed. $10 half-gallon tubs of crepe nut, rum and raisin, vanilla, cookies and cream, banana, strawberry, and Guinness. Call 323-0861 to place your Cayman Ice Dream order now and feel the stress melt away. Indulge in your dreams today. Cayman Ice Dream, 323-0861.
Cayman Ice Dream is also available in all supermarkets.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you for joining us as we invite you to be a part of our talk today. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. We'll go to our phones. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hello.
Hey, good afternoon. How are you?
Hello, Dwayne. Not too bad, and you?
Very well, sir. Very well. Thanks for sharing with us.
Yeah. I was listening to a caller back, and I wonder, or ask you, when can we control our own destiny?
In what way?
Does it mean the government control its own destiny?
Explain to us. Tell us what you're thinking. In what way?
What I mean is this: we need to train our people, and more each day, or each month, or each year, so that they'll be able to take over and run our own country. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, I think that's most needed from long time back. Long time back. Right, and I speak of that we're not controlling our own destiny to a certain extent. You see? So I listened to that call earlier, and I agree with him. When you say we need an army, the people get afraid. So I believe they could use the word force, a special force, along with the police, because right now it's something that will turn up. We would have them from outside in our country fighting us. We got sheep and wolves and sheep clothing in our country. You see? So this is our greatest problem. We need to send our youth and things to higher training, and those that train to a certain extent are supposed to get advanced training so that we can prepare our little country and run it on our own.
No, I hear you, but what if two things? One.
But hello?
Yes, sir.
But
yes, sir.
Right now, it's not totally that way. And what happened? The youth not thinking about nothing like that. They're not looking into see what our government is doing or nothing. They just don't care sunrise or sunset. So that is one of our problems too. But I believe that we need not an army, but an outside. We need a force separately from the police to be on our defense whenever anything turns up, because we got outside force into our country that will be fighting against us.
Right. But what if the people that we have in whatever capacity, the army, the police, the militia, the regiment, whatever we call it, the force, what if those people that are inside our country turn against us, against the people? What then?
But there's the people that we have to worry about. If we had our own inside people, you know how it will go much easier. But when we got somebody else stirring the pot and fighting against us inside, that is our problem. And this has always been. Up to the present time, you got that secret force elements of people in our country that dictating part of the politics.
No, you were talking about.
They can call it good, but I call it the other politics. Because you got right and you got wrong.
Yes, sir.
You see? So we need to wake up, and it's late in the day. We need to wake up and get our people organized and train and get the education so that they'll be capable of something happening that they can jump in place and take the place.
And I'm glad you shared that education. We need to get them trained. Maybe there is an opportunity to train more of our people in many different ways and not in the constant, seemingly traditional way of this mindset of putting a military approach, the guns and that kind of training. Isn't there other training? I mean, take for instance Cuba as an example. Seemingly that from the perspective of its medical personnel, the medical teams that it has, Cuba is able to send well qualified, trained, respected, and welcomed, personnel to countries across the globe to assist or where there is a medical need. We recognize other countries have expertise, whereas trained as people, the civil
Dwayne,
engineers. Yes, sir.
I believe this, that right now, if it wasn't for the UK, they would come and help us. If something would start here, I don't think the police force could control it, because you got people in this country that have guns that are not licensed. Guns that are not licensed. You understand?
Yes,
so
sir.
that is the problem that the police would have. You see?
Well, I hear you, and I think those are valid concerns, and it maybe comes to the bigger picture that as we move forward through education and training, that we bring everybody along, and that we stop turning a blind eye to the guns that you talked about being unlicensed, the criminal behavior, whether that is perceived to be in this part of the country or amongst this set of people, or where, or we seem to be willing to allow certain people at certain times because of certain circumstances, to do certain things. That seems to be the perception that we have. If it is,
because what I actually mean, Drina,
yes, sir,
is that we need to prepare ourselves going forward. We need to have some strength. If a youth group get out there and say something, it's not a politics. Although they're true, they're telling the truth. If you get out there and you got a group say that train for to defend our country along with the police, they think that's bad because they don't want us to have no strength. They don't want to have no strength. They always want to be control of our destiny.
But okay, I hear what you're sharing, right? But let's say, forgive me if I misunderstand you or if I take it to a space that you don't want to go. But let's say we train up a lot of our people, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 50,000, right? And everybody has the best, the latest weaponry, the best guns. I mean, how will that compare to another nation with bigger weapons, bigger guns, more people? If they wanted a piece of what we have, they want to invade and conquer. I mean, do you think our 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 will be in a match, for that larger force? So maybe the guns and the like isn't the answer. Maybe it's diplomacy and education.
For instance, Jimmy, just
yes,
look
sir.
at this, what I call this disease now, and just how difficult it is that you got to argue or fight for other countries that take back the people. You see?
Yes, sir.
And so we got problems.
Yep.
You
Well,
see,
again,
everybody here in Cayman need to migrate to other countries or islands for benefit their way of living, because to make better. But then when something hit, that's when we get the kickback. Okay, we want our people back, but then the people that here don't want to leave, and it's lucky thing that we have the force here now, because some countries don't want to leave. Although some can come back, but some don't actually want to leave, and I don't believe they got a true record of what we have in this island to make that 66,000. It could be more illegal.
You might be right. You might be right. But if that's the case, then does that speak to
and how you find that out? You can find it out easier if you work towards trying to find it out.
If you're willing to find out, huh? I hear you.
Huh?
I hear you. If we're really serious
But
about,
common sense can tell someone how to find it out.
well, they say that that's so common anymore,
I don't know that's going out the door. But brain, no joke, man. We actually in trouble. We think we're going to get ahead a long way, but then when we spread our wings to say something, we covered and control.
Yeah. Well, it is something to consider. And I
See
think
what happens to Caymanian. They don't know the elderly Caymanian, not the young Caymanians. They don't care sunset or sunrise. So that is one of our greatest problems. They're not interested in what's going on in the country. They don't know. They don't want to follow government, like what government is doing each day or each month or each year. They don't know nothing about it. They ask them a question, they don't know that. Some, if they ask them sunrise, they look around at it and they don't know, can't tell you sunrise, and that's the look up in the sky. Huh? Then sunset, they still don't know. We in trouble.
Yeah, man.
I don't know. Man, I'm sorry for those kids. The guys that married and can produce young families and things, boy, they don't know what they're doing because they come in pure trouble.
So what do we do, sir, from your perspective, your expertise and experience? I mean, you're here and you've seen a lot. What would you tell us to do? I mean, what would be your advice to us?
What I would say to do?
Yes, sir.
The first thing is that it seems as if educate our people, but the same if they go overseas and get education come back, you hear them say they got the practical part. So they don't get the jobs, they be held up. Although at college they get the what do you call it, they get some practical in it, but most of it is theory and thing. So when we come here, we got to be wired before we can get into something, and it's a hard problem to get in. Literally, when all students come back here educated, government should grab them students and see what they got, and then forward on back on again to get more education onto that when they get the break in government. You see,
yes, sir.
That's why you're holding your own people. No government won't let go their own people that are educated, you know. It won't be a foolish government.
Well, it would seem that over the years we haven't done what you're saying,
Educated people.
Mm-hmm.
So you won't have to depend on importation of people.
You build a nation by educating your people.
Yes, that's to go a long way.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And you have more control.
Well, you have the buy-in, right? You have the people who are prepared because they have a vested interest, and
right,
again,
and they're more dedicated.
Yeah.
More dedicated.
Well, as you're sharing, whether this thing goes that way,
it's hurtful. It's hurtful. It's hurtful.
I can hear your heart, so I can imagine it is, man. Because
when you got children coming behind, it's hurtful.
That's the thing that we're missing.
We've got to fight. Another thing about this education, we got we got more people qualifying to fight against us. You see, so that's one of the problem again.
Yeah, I mean, here's a thought that I'll share with you, as it was shared with me. We understand from the press briefing that 5 individuals are going to be sent to Sandhurst. Now, we have aware of train the trainers kind of deal. If we send 5 up there, that's only 5. What if we brought 5 from there, or 5 from 5 different places, or 1 or 15 or 50? Could that number that we bring here, couldn't they train more of us? Maybe potential of 5,000 instead of only training 5. Yes, sir.
I agree for them to bring in some people that they're short of to work, and at the same time train old people. But it should be a record done showing that they're training old people to have those jobs when their time is up. It should be some not verbal thing. It should be something in writing that they must do it to show how the Cayman is progressing towards that job. when the person time is up
Yeah,
to
yeah,
show
sir.
that he's not progressing, that he can fill that post.
Yeah.
So now should
Well-
be no war about something. Tell government that they're not up to standard. Put in writing that they're not up to standard, and then government can find out why they're not up to standard, why you're not showing them or telling them how things go.
Hmm. I always appreciate you having that passion, that conviction, like the other caller prayer, for sharing your perspective.
Yeah.
We do have another caller, but is there anything else you want to share, sir?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Is there anything else you want to share with us?
Yes, and let's share a little bit more. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
What I want to say to you, I know you can't run government unless you got some educated people, right? You want people with education and common sense to run any government. They must have common sense and education, right? So we not got to allow them to fill the post. So we need to bring some people to fill in meanwhile. But then they bring them in and they run the permit out and they get on and renew permit and get on to, and then they apply for the residency. All that sort of thing been going on that I can remember and see and know about. And it's not no lie, it's true. Although government is short of the staff, so they just keep renewing the permit. Yeah? And sometimes they don't advertise it. We need to straighten up big time. Mr. McLaughlin need to get out there and enforce these things, Don't make them turn it in politics and all that sort of thing with him. Do what's right and hold on to him. Don't make him have the way do what is right. He must do what is right to help the people, So he got a big problem. He have a big problem.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for sharing, sir.
He working against the internal force against him.
Sometimes,
Which that force comes from outside. They don't like see him in the position.
But maybe sometimes that force is from inside too.
Yeah, they mix, when they come from outside, they mix with inside one and make it stronger. Unit is a serious case.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And all we do is looking for leaders to hold on and do right for the people of this country.
All right. Well, keep talking to us, man. Maybe we'll finally hear what's being said. Thank you, sir. And I think Ms. Susan shares we have one break and then some calls. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Obey the laws and wear the gauze. Protect your jaws from septic paws. Stay clean, Cayman, with hand sanitizer from $3.25, 10 surgical masks for $9.99, and 2 packs of KN95 masks for $6.99. Wholesale pricing available at all 5 Liquor for Less locations: Shedden Road, North Church Street, Savannah, Northside, and the McClendon Drive Airport location. Don't miss the incredible lockdown price markdown and manager specials exclusively at Liquor for Less. Hundreds of fine starting from cases of ice cold below wholesale prices, and save $9 off liters. Prices so low we can't say it on the radio. Liquor for Less enforces the wearing of masks and social distancing while in store and encourage other preventative measures to help stop the spread of COVID-19, such as consistent hand washing and only leaving home for essential purposes.
Fluff and Fold in Camana Bay is open. You've been carrying a heavy load for some time. Take a break and let Fluff and Fold carry the load. Dry cleaning and wash and fold laundry service with all necessary measures to ensure the safety of our staff and customers. Contact free pickup and drop off at their Camana Bay location. Give yourself a little bit of freedom. Fluff and Fold in Camana Bay. Open 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday.
For more information, call Fluff and Fold at 943-5833.
Funky Tank's Shedden Road location is now open for deliveries, Monday to Saturday,
8 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Call 949-0998, WhatsApp 916-0568, or email markw_ft@hotmail.com.
Funky Tanks is your music and more store.
Shedden Road location now open for deliveries, Monday to Saturday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Stay safe and stay home, Cayman.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on ensuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Are you a Caymanian experiencing unemployment or have recently been laid off? Are you already registered with work but need to know what jobs are available or how to post job ads? Contact Work today. Call 945-9672 or toll free at 1-800-534-9672 or email worc@gov.ky.
A public service announcement from Radio Cayman. Coronavirus prevention tip. What is coronavirus? The novel coronavirus, COVID-19, is a new strain of coronavirus that has not been previously identified in humans. What are the symptoms? Common symptoms include respiratory symptoms of fever, cough, shortness of breath, breathing difficulties. In severe cases, coronavirus can cause pneumonia, severe acute respiratory syndrome, and kidney failure. How soon do symptoms occur? Symptoms occur 2 to 10 days after a person has been exposed. Is there a vaccine against coronavirus? Currently, there is no vaccine to protect against COVID-19. When a disease is new, it takes up to a few years for a new vaccine to be developed. For information, you can email questions to flu@hsa.ky or call one of the hotline numbers of 1-800-534-8600 or 947-3077. For the latest updates and information, please visit hsa.ky/coronavirus.
Social distancing is crucial for our community to get back to normal, and never before has communication been so crucial. Keeping in touch with family, friends, and up-to-date requires you to stay in touch. Green Turtle offers the solution for both. Download the Green Turtle app now. Top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination in Cayman. Phones delivered to your home, and with the new rewards program, you can even redeem points towards a new phone and other products. Download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Hashtag Stay Home Cayman. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
During these challenging times, it can be easy to lose sight of all that we have to be grateful for. As the world grapples with the effects of COVID-19, at the forefront of the fight are the many frontline workers diligently ensuring the continuity of our islands. From the police service, members of the National Emergency Operations Center, healthcare workers, the DEH, grocery and pharmacy attendants, and so many more. Along with the daily conch call at 6:59 p.m., Radio Cayman invites the community to call in to talk today, every Friday, for Frontline Fridays. Share your stories and experiences and let us as a community start the gratitude trend to the many people putting their lives on the front line. Whether you have a family member on the front line and wish to give them a shout out, or if you have a personal experience of Cayman kindness, we want to hear from you. Frontline Fridays, every Friday on Talk Today.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for sharing with us. It's 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. The press briefing is coming up at 2. We'll hit that when it does. Let's go to the phones, though. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling.
Dear Sterling.
Hey, good to hear from you, sir. How are you?
This is number 1 from New Kingston.
Boy. Hope it gets better.
How is things down Somalia?
I don't know, but here in Cayman, as a whole, it wouldn't get better.
Anyway, listen here. Why I call you? I have a problem with a certain back teeth, and I went to the dentist this morning. Good thing I got them in before the rain stopped. Or after the rain stopped, I should say.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank God for that. Then,
yes, indeed.
after he checked me, he said, okay, you're going to have to go over to the doctor to get some of this medication, this thing they have to prescribe, this and so on. So I went over there. And over there, I had to go down by the emergency room because no other doctor was available. And what I call is this. When I see them nurses coming out that door, opening that door, in and out, different people to the ward, why it is they can't have the pharmacy window open further down right there instead of having to go outside and stand up and stand and halfway falling down? That's what is puzzling me.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the layout, but from what you described, maybe there's an easier, perhaps more accessible way. Maybe they can fix that for us. How difficult would it be to address that?
I can't hear what you're saying.
Wow. Let's try it now. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, see that? Miss Susan's on the ball, man. She's got it under control.
You don't need to tell me that. Hey, you make sure she get back on this on Saturday evenings.
Well.
I'm giving you that job. Okay, whether she'd like it or not, she's the one to be back on this Saturday evening.
Maybe she wants a break, man. Maybe she wants to take a vacation and come up to the bracket and enjoy herself.
Yeah, because you've been getting too much trouble last way.
Oh, people been telling you stories, man.
No, Susan not tell me no stories. I can't talk to Susan because she don't come on country classes no more.
All right, well, hopefully.
When I sit up at that hospital, the way they're walking through that door to the ward, okay, it's closed. It's like a double door.
Mm-hmm.
And people are sitting right down there in the hallway. I don't see it making a difference where they can just open the window and just call you. You don't have to be standing up there by the door. Just call you by your name and say, okay, Hunter, Dwayne, Sterling, whatever your name is.
Mm-hmm.
And you just go and pick up the medicine.
Well, from what you described, sounds like that shouldn't be difficult, especially if it's being open and closed as you shared, but not that familiar with it. How, hopefully people will be able to address it so it's convenient and accessible for you, and as you shared, maybe safer so you don't feel like you're going to fall over.
Tell that Minister of Health, I hope you're listening, if it's going to be convenient. If you got a thing fixed up outside, tell him put some chairs. I hope he's listening. Put chairs. Mose, Alden, Juliana on the heard me. Put some chairs out there so people can sit down instead of trying to hold on from falling down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Especially with my leg today, 2 or 3 times going there, I almost fell.
Yeah, I think they'll address it now. I mean, they probably didn't even, there's so much going on, they probably didn't even stop to see it from the customer perspective, just a slight oversight. I'm sure they'll fix that now.
The problem is there's too much bracket don't want to talk. That's the problem. They don't want, you can hear, they'll talk about it somewhere, but they won't get on the radio or call some of them and they'll represent them and tell them what they must do. That's what they pay for.
Yeah, well, people tend to leave, for somebody else, thinking somebody else will do it. Many people, just across the world, but certainly here in our country, you're right. We don't seem to want to speak up.
That's right.
Yeah. But then too, though, Mr. Dolan, respectfully, you might have a different perspective, but many times the person who asks a question or speaks out about something, they may get the support privately, but they probably don't feel it publicly. They may be kind of pushed to the side and treated differently.
I don't care who is living up here. If a concern came on back and there's something wrong, open your mouth. They can't do a thing for it.
So I like your courage, sir. You encourage many of us, be so courageous.
Dwayne, what I got to say, I am not saying nothing criminal against no one. I'm just telling them plain and straight, the job that they're paying for, they need to do.
Well, you would expect that, right?
That's right. And the way I seen that today, that I sat down there for so long because I had to wait to go in to see the emergency doctor to call it. You know what we're talking about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I had to wait. I didn't have no appointment with them to go in to get the medication. I see people coming in and out of the ward. I want to know why they can't have that little pharmacy window open there. The man just, or even if he want to close it, he open it, I holler for you, I call for you, call your name. He just come and pick up the medicine and come out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see no big deal in that. I said that to someone today and looked like one, the nurse didn't like it. I said, well, tough luck to you, that's the way I feel about it. It's not right.
Well, I hope that if it's something that they can address to make it safer and more convenient, that they will be able to do that, so that, because if it's affecting you, I'm sure it's, could benefit other people as well if it's addressed.
Yes, and like what I say, even though tenting outside, it is nothing but pure sand. When you try to walk in, my leg is getting weaker by the day, my sick leg.
Sorry to hear that. Yes, sir.
I have trouble walking up there toward that window in the sun. 3 times today I almost fell down. Good thing I was close to one of the posts that's holding up the cover.
Right.
I grabbed onto that and tried to balance myself. Didn't put no real heavy weight to make it fall or anything, just balance myself. Because if you go pull on it, the whole thing coming down.
Yeah, it's just, it's not really structural, right? Yeah. So, true.
The Minister of Health, Moses O'Connor, Juliana Connor, Alden McLaughlin, everyone up in there, want to fix the thing properly and doing the job they want getting paid for. All the worry about the virus in that time, everyone here probably worrying about getting a haircut. Have a good day today.
You too, sir. You too.
And keep smiling. Come here, the worst days ahead.
Thank you for keep sharing. Blessings. All the best. All the best. Keep up. And to the caller's point in relation to, life goes on, and I think there's anyone, hopefully not many if they are, who wouldn't say let's be as safe and as cautious as we can, and let's not take life for granted, and let's not do anything that at any point, but especially now, to put ourselves in peril. But is this a case where, as we move towards the economic aspect of things and getting construction and development and all other things going, what about, as people have shared, getting their appointments for their physicians, their checkups and the like? Will they be rescheduled, and will they be able to get back to those, whether they were elective surgeries or not, whether they were scans and tests and x-rays and all the other things that were postponed to be rescheduled for another time? It may not be life-threatening now, may not be that serious nor important now, but it certainly were things that the physician probably thought, has to be done at some point. So the longer it's delayed, does that make it that much more urgent as we, as the time passes? And that's just from the health perspective. What about, as many have shared, people are now indoors, away from their families and socializing. Could this have serious long-term consequences for the health, not just the mental health, but through that, their physical health? There are questions to be asked. Is it, as some have shared, we are on this bandwagon of test, but our physicians, our Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Lee, has shared the test is only good for then and there. It doesn't mean that if you test negative that you won't test positive later on, even if you were, as best as possible practicing all of the measures, even if you were away somewhere by yourself. It could be in your system and not just registering at that point in time. So the test doesn't mean that you're immune. The test doesn't mean that, it's not something that you could pick up shortly thereafter. Again, we need to be cognizant of all the things that are transpiring. Is it, as some have shared, on one hand, you want to keep things, to use the words, locked down, shelter in place. But then if you open up industries like construction and development, like you did with gardening and mobile car washing and all the other things, is that potentially undermining the efforts and the successes to date? I keep asking those questions, not just out of deference to all those who've asked and say, well, ask it, but just out of, maybe the caller prior was talking about common sense. You recognize, the Honorable Premier shared, that by its very nature. Construction is a work that you have to work many times very close to your colleagues, to the other trades, to all the other people on the job site. And if you're on a scaffolding, that scaffolding is only, so high and so wide. So at some point you're going to work, in close proximity. So if you're a plumber, electrician, and you're roughing in, or you pulling the conduit, you're going to come in contact. The carpenter and the apprentice always going to have a level of contact. So the nature of it, the job itself, means that you're interacting with up to 9,000 people potentially coming online again. What is the increased number of those people interacting with each other, going back and interacting with their families, and then collectively interacting with the wider community at the banks and all of the financial places that we transact those type of business, in the supermarkets, and just generally the liquor stores and everywhere else. Is that increase in it? Is the patience that's asked for shouldn't just be only for the people who want to get out to the beach, but for the the developer and the like, who what we were calling prior, just like the caller asked about, we were talking about too much cars on the road and all this. Well, what about the discussions in the past about greed and the fact that you can't take the money with you? It's just more for your loved ones to spend when you're gone. So maybe that patience has to extend across the board. Now, a couple of other WhatsApps that we want to share, but equally, as we look at this whole scenario, are we looking at it truly from the perspective? Take, for instance, the growing debate relative to the beaches, but more importantly, perhaps, to fishing. Do we dismiss it because it may only be a few West Bayers or a few Northsiders or a few Georgetowners or a few, Caymanians who want to go fishing because that's their livelihood? Have you thought about the perspective that it may be affecting them in a way that now, that's what they knew how to provide for their families? Were you asking that person now to exhaust all the savings, to beg and borrow from families, to go in their minds to the government agencies, whether that money is there or not? But we know if it is, it's not, an unlimited sum. It's a very finite resource, but maybe to feel as if they're going with their, hand out and affecting their mental psyche. But not only, put food on the table for themselves and their families, their own living, but what about other people for whom these fishermen is their only source of fish and perhaps protein? If the fishermen can't fish, how do they get the fresh fish that they were, sort of carved their dietary regime around? Now, go even a step further. Ask yourself the question that some have posed in the past. If you have certain workers online, the construction, the gardeners, the mobile car washes, because those are the ones that have come thus far, and they're all permit holders, does that translate into potentially more friction? The person looking at it and say, well, wait a minute, no, I can't go fishing, but I can get my, yard service, my car washed and the like. How essential is that relative to being able to eat? Just questions. A challenge, very difficult balancing act. But how do we respond to it? And then when you think about the whole perspective from the notion of, Sundays you can't do any exercise on Sunday if you choose. You can't go to the beaches at all. I mean, is that unconscionable and inhumane? Look at the members of the community who are Adventists. Sunday would probably be their day to go to exercise and to do their things. What about the physicians and all the others for whom that may be the one day that they have a little break in their schedule that they can go out? Are we putting them at further stress? And worse, as some have shared, the idea that you only have 90 minutes to exercise. Now, why, as some have asked, is there a limit on that to begin with? If, bad enough that there is this curfew and they have had, much more learned, skilled, intellectual, knowledgeable, experienced people weigh in as to what it means and the like. But if you have, a set time that you can be out and about, what if someone wanted to, go for a marathon walk or a run? probably going to take more than 90 minutes. But why couldn't they? Why shouldn't they? Maybe they'll do many things in that vein. Not just get a natural collection of their vitamin D, but they get their exercise and fresh air. So they are set out to walk from West Bay to Georgetown or from East End to Georgetown and back for whatever reason. It may take them a little bit longer than 90 minutes. Why can't? Why shouldn't they? And things that have to be considered. Some other questions that we've been asked to consider. Recognizing that we're trying to limit large numbers of gathering because potentially that could lead to the spread. But if we're limiting, parks, for instance, if we're limiting the bush and the Chumboden and the other sport complexes and fields, why are those things off limits? They're certainly safe to walk around a track. There's certainly lots, tens of millions of dollars expended to construct these things. Could not a person, walk around them safely, exercising the distance? As someone shared just, not long ago with me on a call, said, hey, if I live in the South Sound area, they can walk on that, 15 million boardwalk. That must be crowded. Other things, but you have to wonder who has their head in the sand and who has, the wool pulled over others' eyes. Well, let's pause and take a break.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities, built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials, are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
You may be home isolating, but your taste buds can explore the world. Dragon Inn Restaurant in Countryside Plaza, offering savory dishes in traditional, authentic, American, Szechuan, Mandarin, Filipino cuisine, and Cantonese style, made fresh daily. Family dinner specials, rich in taste with no MSG. Choose from stir fry, chop suey, chow mein, sweet and sour, and so much more. Call 947-1166. Pick up Monday to Saturday from 10:30 a.m. until 7 p.m. Delivery 7 days per week until 9 p.m. Dragon Inn Restaurant and Countryside Plaza. Daily lunch specials and combinations, bringing international deliciousness to your doorstep. Call 947-1166 to place your order.
Obey the laws and wear the gauze. Protect your jaws from septic paws. Stay clean, Cayman, with hand sanitizer from $3.25. 10 surgical masks for $9.99. And 2 packs of KN95 masks for $6.99. Wholesale pricing available at all 5 Liquor for Less locations. Shedden Road, North Church Street, Savannah, Northside, and the McClendon Drive Airport location. Don't miss the incredible lockdown price markdown and manager specials exclusively at Liquor for Less. Hundreds of fine, starting from cases of ice cold below wholesale prices, and save $9 off liters. Prices so low we can't say it on the radio. Liquor for Less enforces the wearing of masks and social distancing while in store and encourage other preventative measures to help stop the spread of COVID-19, such as consistent hand washing and only leaving home for essential purposes.
Christian Enlightenment Center is now open for deliveries. Call and order your favorite inspirational books, journals, Bibles, Bible cases, church supplies, stationery, and many other unique items. Christian Enlightenment Center, your complete Christian bookstore and more. To place your order for delivery, text or WhatsApp 923-8050 or email us at ceccenter@candw.ky. Check out our website at christianenlightenmentcenter.com. Browse items on your Facebook page by clicking Shop to view all our collections. Opening hours 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday to Saturday. Super Stitch Sewing and Fabric Center, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasadora Place, Smith Road, is now open for deliveries. Open Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and on Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky. Super Stitch for your deliveries.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for sharing with us. Now we have the opportunity to listen to some WhatsApp voice notes. Miss Susan.
Give a huge thank you to Andre and the team over at the Cayman Islands Government Office in the UK for their diligence and their hard work around the organization and coordination of the air bridge, and not only just with their assistance helping people to return home to the Cayman Islands, but their work thereafter and in checking up and making sure that everyone had settled in and was doing well. So a big thank you to Andre and the team. It is greatly appreciated. I just want to say thank you to the Cayman Islands Government UK office for all of their assistance in arranging the air bridge. They made the process as painless as possible, and they were just very attentive and, with updates and giving information. So I just want to say thank you for their assistance in this.
I would like to thank the Cayman Islands Government Office in the UK and also Cayman Connection UK. Their Facebook posts were extremely helpful and incredibly informative.
Just want to say a big thank you to the frontline workers. Thank you for all that you do from the Ebanks family.
A big shout out to the frontline workers and volunteers from the Moore family of Prospect Park.
All right, Miss Susan. Hopefully this whole thing would allow us all. What are your thoughts, Miss Susan? And as we go through, that we start to have.
Hi, Sterling. I think it's a good concept, to put the frontline workers in the spotlight and shed some light on what the hard work that we all are doing. We have a call. I think let's go to the caller. Caller.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. I just want to give a special shout out to the Port Authority staff. I don't know if they've probably been recognized, but a lot of times they are forgotten. So a huge thank you to those on the docks, at the warehouse on Portland Road, the admin staff, and all others involved with ensuring that we are kept supplied with food, medical supplies, and other essential goods. They're truly frontline staff, and I just want to say many thanks. You guys are truly essential. Thank you.
Yeah, man. And thanks too. And as the caller shared, I believe that maybe this is a time for the world, but in particular this country, to start to reflect that everybody is essential, that we need to show increasing love and respect to everybody. Every job has importance. We understand perhaps maybe it was because of Hurricane Ivan that made more of us appreciate it, but I trust and pray that we don't look down with any kind of disdain or contempt or disrespect on the work that people do. And the fact that, after Ivan, we saw how important it was that the garbage was collected. But how did we look at the garbage collector? Now we go to the supermarkets and the shops and the shelves are clean and stocked and the like. Now, what do we think happens? It's a magical wand, it is waved and it happens. The people that clean your offices, some of us, we just so full of ourselves and everything we do is about ourselves and we're so self-serving and selfish, self-aggrandizing constantly. But maybe, it's a time for increased humility for all of us, those of us in high positions of leadership and those of us who we rarely see or hear. A little humility can go a long way. And I'm glad that this opportunity affords us to maybe rethink how we look at others, because we think how we look at ourselves and how we interact with others doesn't mean that someone who is insolent, disrespectful, and like should be taken to task. But like they say, what do you bring into the equation? What is it that you're doing that is either adding or frustrating the situation? And when we think of what is transpiring now, we can still disagree, but do so respectfully. We can still agree without capitulating. We can still, work hand in hand without necessarily having to compromise.
Got a WhatsApp.
Let's hear what's up. Is going to share, Miss Susan?
Hi, good afternoon. I'd like to give a shout out to all frontline workers. You're doing a tremendous job in helping the people of the Cayman Islands. And for those who wish to leave the Cayman Islands, those who wish to return to the Cayman Islands, thank you all for your help. I want to say a big shout out to all the grocery stores and supermarkets for all the work that they're doing, to the Royal Cayman Islands Police, CBC for assisting in so many ways, and for the Cayman Islands hospitals, the HSA, Health City, Doctors Hospital, and all the private doctors and nurses who are assisting us in any way. Want to also give a big shout out to all the government employees, civil servants. I'll say especially for those at the General Registry. Thank you all for doing such a wonderful job in keeping our island going. May God bless you and bless us all as we continue to be Caymanian and those who are living among us. We want to thank the Cayman Islands government, elected government, for the work that they're doing in order to try to keep us safe. Lives come before livelihood. So thank you all very much. God bless you all and bless the Cayman Islands.
And with that, I believe we have an opportunity to hear from some of our callers. Hey, good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon, Dwayne.
How are you today, sir?
Thank you. I'm fine, and I'm glad to be where I am. I'm grateful for our community, for our country, and for our leadership, our government, which includes all that entails our government, and for our civil service. There have been people in the past who have complained about the size of our government and have gotten off on little political matchboxes, comparing themselves and ourselves to other communities, embracing an ideological thought that a small government, the smaller you can get government, the better it is. And what we are proving is that our government is truly an efficient apparatus that is working for the good of community and economy. And as such, every part and every civil servant is playing his role right now in the restoration and preservation of our country. And it is because of government growing to meet the needs of a growing country why we are this successful and why we are blessed as we are. So we need to be grateful for the structure of government we have, the people that comprise government, and our political leadership who have taken some very, very wise decisions. From the governor's office all the way down, I'd like to pay hearty respects and kudos to them.
All right. Hey, thanks very much, my friend. And with that, let's take another call. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you doing?
I am very thankful. I get accused sometimes of thinking, but other than that, I'm blessed.
Yeah, well, that's good. No, I want to compliment all the people who are out there doing what they do to try to keep us, alive and otherwise. But I don't, we don't think very much about usually people that answer the 911 calls and stuff like that. And I had an opportunity to talk with a young lady before yesterday. Very pleasant. I don't know her name or anything, but she's a Caymanian. She's young person, obviously, but very nice, very efficient. And, when you're sitting up there just taking calls, I mean, that's got to be boring because you just wait for the next call to come in,
Well. And very stressful as well.
It's stressful too, yeah. But very efficient. So I want to thank all of them that do work like that you don't see them, you don't know who they are really, but they're doing their job. And I ask God to bless all of us on this island.
Amen. And as we go to the news, I thank you for sharing that because this is what I've been trying to get people. We've adopted this tagline, Frontline Fridays, right? We talk about frontline workers, as if it's a war. I don't say that with disdain. I'm thinking that, we're all in this together, but in different boats, right? And the challenge is that as a people for too long across the globe, but specifically here, we become increasingly disrespectful of others and unappreciative and taking so much and so many for granted. So as you were sharing, let's look at everybody, one, with a sense of respect, and two, they're human. Doesn't matter the job they do, it's essential, it's important.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir, man. God bless you, sir. I'm told that we have the news, and when we come back, let's talk some more, man. Stay tuned.
Your 2 p.m. headlines brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have here on the island.
Your voice, your choice. For today's biggest news. Access.
Local, regional, international, this is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
A reminder that the National Roads Authority will be accelerating critical road infrastructure projects while taking advantage of the reduction in the number of vehicles on the island's roads during this time. Among the projects to be undertaken over the next few weeks include the upgrading of the Christy Tomlinson and Grand Harbor roundabouts located in Red Bay and Prospect areas. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. A wanted man has turned himself in after Canadian police arrested 4 others in connection with the March abduction of a 14-year-old boy. 29-year-old Solomon Nassimi appeared in court today after surrendering Thursday. According to Toronto police, the boy the 5 men allegedly abducted was targeted because of his stepbrother's multi-million-dollar drug debt. And a California church is suing video chat company Zoom after a hacker allegedly hijacked a virtual Bible study class to post graphic images of child abuse. A hacker took over users' computers and played sick and disturbing videos, according to the lawsuit filed by St. Paulus Lutheran Church. The San Francisco church's leaders contacted Zoom for help, but the company did nothing, the suit says. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Your 2 p.m. headlines brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Social distancing is crucial for our community to get back to normal. And never before has communication been so crucial. Keeping in touch with family, friends, and up to date requires you to stay in touch. Green Turtle offers the solution for both. Download the Green Turtle app now. Top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination in Cayman. Phones delivered to your home, and with the new rewards program, you can even redeem points towards a new phone and other products. Download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Hashtag Stay Home Cayman. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Join us every evening at 6:59 p.m. for the Time Check Salute in Cayman-kind style with the blowing of the conch shell. As the Cayman Islands community extends their appreciation to all of the frontline staff who are working to keep our islands safe and functioning during these challenging times.
Hello, Cayman. I'm Quincy Brown. Anybody else getting mixed up with all these new coronavirus terms? Me too. But guess what? I've watched the press conferences and I've read the press releases and I've seen all the social media posts. Look here, I can help you out. Social distancing. Well, that means you're to keep a distance of 3 to 6 feet away from the person next to you. Or in layman's term, if you can see the color of the eye next to you, you're too close. Una got it now? If Una want to stay up to the time with what's going on, there's only one place for the real information, the Cayman Islands government. Visit gov.ky/coronavirus. Now remember, keep washing your hands, keep following the rules, and keep taking care of each other. Saving lives is Caymankind.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. We're reminding you that the press briefing is scheduled for 2 p.m. today, so it's probably going to start very imminently. When it does, we're going to go right over. But until then, we got a number of choices, and we opted to say, hey, call and share your thoughts with us if you wish. Just respectfully reflect on the fact that if you're mid-sentence and we ask you to hold it there, it's no disrespect. We just don't want to miss the press briefing when it starts. But in the meantime, you want to share a thought with us, 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Or if you wish, you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Here's a WhatsApp that came in and we were endeavoring to read earlier. A suggestion from one of our listeners. It reads, to help the NAU and those who have to travel far to get there, can NAU set up a temporary facility at a business place in the districts, say 2 workers to give out food vouchers to permit holders? Naturally they have all the identification and the letter. So there's proof the ID, proof of permit letter that they are not working. This is on a particular day when, then another day for Caymanians who can't reach the NAU. Just a suggestion, of course, have the police presence, and they will help if it overflowed the office. Yeah. All right, we got a call. Let's go to the phones. Good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon, Sterling. How you doing?
Why, I am doing well, and better when I see things, turn the corner.
You'll be alright, man. You live. Listen, I'll
be fine, man. It's not me.
I know today's supposed to be Frontline Fridays. Is that segment still going on now?
1:30 to 2, boy. But I guess I didn't realize that we were in the trenches in the war. But anyway.
Oh, it's 1:30 to 2. Well, it started 1:30. But anyway, I just got tied up. I just got a chance now. But since I sent a message out to some of my people this morning, telling them to be a little bit thankful and share their positive experiences with all that's been going on, and especially the frontline workers, I wanted to at least take my own advice and call in to express my gratitude for those men and women on the front lines that are doing everything to keep us safe. Both the public and the private sector. I pass them pretty much on a regular basis, and even the traffic guys, I'm out there, in that sun hot, and believing me, that sun is hot, and to be wearing a mask and everything, and, doing what they're doing, it's really commendable. I have many people in my area that also, the nurses, they're away from their families and everything else, so it is really a lot to see a lot of people step up, and really go above and beyond, and at least I want to register my heartfelt gratitude, not just on behalf of myself and my family, but also on the people that I'm humbled to represent.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I hear you, man. And I hope that this will be something I've been championing for years. People showing respect for people just because they're people. We label them, we put them in boxes, but we don't realize that they're human. So we
But I tell you what, the good thing what this crisis have shown is we get to see who are the individuals we need to keep our economy going. And it is not the rich, not to pick on any particular profession, but not that any profession is above, but some of those very same professions that parents encourage their kids not to get into are the ones now that we deem to be essential, are the ones that we realize in an emergency we need these positions in which to function. And a lot of cases, those same positions are thankless throughout the year. And at least if there's one thing that this crisis have done, not just here in Cayman, but around the world, is to say to people, listen, you all are going too fast. Sometimes you just need to slow down and take it easy.
I hear you, but respectfully, I mean, this is where I think we get into, putting people in boxes and understanding the power of words, right? Everybody is essential if they have life, right? And they're essential to a function. Everybody has a station in life, right? And whether the person is earning $100,000 an hour, that income provides work and employment for others. But the person is packing shelves, or the person is taking garbage or cleaning offices. I think one of the biggest problems we have is that there's so much disdain and contempt. We put people in a position, whether it's a politician, a police officer, a principal, or somebody else. We act as if they're Lord, God, and be all, right? Instead of recognizing that they're just human, they're just simple as flesh. You stop them on the side of the face, they'll bruise like anybody else. People don't see that. We're just too full of ourselves, man.
Well, Sterling, I tell you one thing. I have always looked back and I can only speak from my own personal experiences. I look at my dad. My dad was a bartender. He went to see us like everybody else, came back and he tended the bar. Five kids, and all five of us he put through college.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, I look at my mother. She never had a big job, just administrative work, but my parents instilled certain values, in myself and my sisters. And, I'm really happy with at least the talents that we have been given, what we have done with them.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And the thing about it is, and I'm going to say something that maybe a little bit, I really care because me already.
Go ahead.
People may not like it, but one of the things with Cayman, and this is just my own personal observation now, let me caveat it by saying, is that if you look at human beings by nature, we find ways in which to separate ourselves, whether it be by our culture, whether it be over a game of dominoes. You can go to a party and you will gravitate toward a certain group of people. It could be a former classmates or whatever, but the point is that we find different ways in which to separate ourselves. And one of the things with Cayman is that even though we're very British overseas, even though we're a British overseas territory, we're also very Americanized. And if you look in Britain, where everybody was white, they're separated by class. In the United States, they're separated by race. In Cayman, what you have now is both classism and racism. And when you put those two together, you get a third one called placism, know your place, stay in your lane. And that has always been one of the biggest challenges that we as a people need to basically start looking at and get over. One of the things that I end all of my message with, or most of my message with, has always been one love, one Cayman. And having a diverse district like I do, the diverse constituent that I do, that is made up of new Caymanians, multi-generational Caymanians and everything else, it still comes back to one thing, one Cayman. And until we all embrace that one concept of having one Cayman, and that every single person has a role to play in our community, within our society, then I think that is when we're going to move forward. The problem that we have is that democracy was supposed to be that great equalizer. It was supposed to be that one thing that says whether you're rich or you're poor, to us as politicians, you're still on the one vote. But what we have is the economic power overriding the political power in many, and this is not just in Cayman, this is something else that's around the world. And what we want to see more of now, and you see with the CPR and everybody else, is more people power. It's putting the people back at the front, at the forefront of everything. You know what I mean? And until we as a people evolve to that level of thinking in terms of that maturity and everything else, then I think that's when you're going to really see the next great potential for Cayman. It was those ethics that we had. It was that foundation that made Cayman, I would say great to begin with, that made Cayman became that place that time forgot to where we are today. I can challenge anybody. You will not find another piece of island anywhere in the world of this size that have this diverse nationality and what it is that we have achieved here. But somewhere along the line, we have forgotten what it was. And I think our goal now and the part of the next generation is to re-establish that back. Our success was never immigration, was always integration, people coming and integrating within our society. So, and look at the many of the nurses and the doctors and all of them. Again, people who came and integrated, the police, people who came and integrated, whether they're from Belize or Barbados.
Exactly. This is what I was saying, we got to stop putting labels on people and realize that everybody's human and they're essential, right? You have a WhatsApp message from me that you never returned yet, so maybe when you get to
I can tell you right now. Listen, I send out daily messages, and I'll say this thing to over 1,500 people. And
Yeah,
at
man.
least 300 to 400 of them respond every single time. And when I tell you that even my very mom, my messages get pushed down. Matter of fact, I keep coming and showing my phone. It's only
No,
like over 4,000 messages.
I
So
see your
I tell you
messages,
what,
though, man.
I will say this to you. If it's important, you take out the phone and call. And I say that to everybody. Because everybody who call me, if they don't get me, I at least return the call. So you know what? Call.
So
If it's important, call.
I should
Because the
expect you to
phone,
return my
that's
call
what
in.
phones are built for.
Yeah, you should expect me to return my call in, right?
Says,
All right.
huh?
I left you a message as well. It was
I have
just
a
about
brother, man.
Take care, MLA Saunders.
All right, peace and love, bro. Cool.
Blessings, man. We're going to go to the phones. Maybe take this other caller. Welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good evening, Sterling.
Hi, good evening. How are you?
I'm fine. I hope you're fine too. I just want to give a big shout out to all the educators, the teachers, the administrators, and the principals for the wonderful job that they are doing, making sure that our students continue online learning daily.
Amen. Yes.
I also want to say thanks to those parents who are making it their business to ensure that their children engage and they make provisions for them. We take a lot of things for granted, but our teachers are making a lot of sacrifices because they too have families at home that they have to take care of, but they are making it a point to provide online learning daily for our children. So big thank you and a big shout out to them.
Hey, thank you, man. And continue to enjoy and be safe, and hopefully together we collectively move forward, you know?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. And perfect timing. The press briefing is about to start, so have a good weekend. Listen to the briefing.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Donna Bush, and welcome to today's coronavirus press briefing. Glad you could join us, of course, via all of our channels, including Radio Cayman. We go now to Pastor Hyacinth Rose.
Good afternoon. I'm Hyacinth Rose, co-pastor of the Church of God Chapel in Borden Town. Let us pray. Oh, gracious, loving Heavenly Father, we're thankful that you're here, that you listen to us, that you protect us day and night. Lord, we thank you for the plans that you have for us to succeed and not to fail. We thank you, Lord, that we can come to you and bring our needs to you. We ask for a blessing on our governor, our premier, their deputies, and all the cabinet, and all of the officials of our land, that you would watch over them, grant them prudence, wisdom, strength of purpose, and compassion. Lord, we ask that you would help to protect those who are in the healthcare industry, those who are personnel in the healthcare, and those and related fields, all who have any contribution to make to our land at this time and to our people. Protect them, Lord, in this crisis, cause that they will not fall prey to this awful disease. And we thank you, Lord. We ask you to help us to cooperate with our leaders as they're trying their best to help us, cause that we will get behind them and help them as well. Help us to live in harmony. Once again, we ask again for a complete eradication, dissipation, destruction of this COVID-19. We ask you to heal those who are sick, and we ask you to revive our economy. We ask all of these requests, knowing that you're perfectly able to grant them, because we ask them in the name of Jesus. Amen.
And thank you, Pastor Rose, for that prayer. We now welcome our panelists, His Excellency the Governor, the Honorable Premier, as well as the Honorable Minister of Health. With us in the studio today, we have the Honorable Joseph Hugh, Minister of CPI, as well as the Chief Medical Officer, the Commissioner of Police, the Director of HMCI, and our sign language interpreter. Joining us by Zoom are members of the media, as well as the Medical Officer of Health. And today we welcome Haroon Pandowi, the Director of Planning. We go first to Dr. Lee.
Good afternoon. First, a bit of, I feel, exciting news. You may have heard on some of the British news channels that Public Health England has validated the use of the Roche platform for measuring antibodies. So we will be introducing antibody tests in the Cayman Islands in the near future. They have actually also approved the platform by Abbott as well. The Abbott system is used by the Health Services Authority, and the Roche system is used by Health City Cayman Islands. You'll hear more of that as time goes along and how we intend to use the new system of testing. I've mentioned before that the immunoglobulin G testing, which is largely what will be available through this, gives you more of a history of whether you've been infected rather than a status of the current infection. We will continue to use PCR testing as we are currently doing about the current state of an infection. The results today are that the Health Services Authority have done 486 tests and Doctors Hospital 72, so a total of 558 tests today, of which there is one positive who is a contact of a known positive case. I think my math shows that that brings the total tests in Cayman to 5,900. We have a total positive of 94 reported so far to date, 9 symptomatic, 28 asymptomatic, 2 admitted at Health City for unrelated issues, and 54 recovered. There are 59 people currently in the government isolation facilities, but that number will rise today as there is a flight which I think has probably arrived from Miami already. Persons in isolation at their residence is 104. Persons seen in the flu clinic on the previous day is 9. And there have been 27 calls to the flu hotline. That may seem like a jump, but in fact 17 of those calls were not flu related. They were people asking for their results and seeking other information not related to being unwell. So in fact there are only 10 calls relating to any symptoms whatsoever. Thank you, Donna.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Lee, we're going to go first to Reshma from the Cayman Compass with any questions. Reshma, please go ahead.
Thank you, Donna. Dr. Lee, given your statement on the antibody tests, it may be helpful to share with the public why these tests would be critical in our COVID-19 fight.
I wouldn't say they were critical. I think actually the PCR testing has been the critical influencer in decision making. The immunoglobulin test, as I mentioned, is more of a history of whether somebody's been infected, and it may well be that we see that as some sort of immunity status. At the moment, we're being advised by public health agencies that this may give us immunity for a season. You're immediately going to say, what is a season? Well, they can't define that. So it is probably like the flu until the next round of infection. It's probably only that long, the period of immunity. But at least it may give us some view as to how many people in the community have been affected. And it's likely that we're going to be doing surveys to see how much the coronavirus has penetrated the community, where at the moment we just don't have that information.
Would this be helpful then in telling if Cayman had COVID-19 before the announcement of our first case?
No. Well, it's possible. The only way you might do that is if we had some banked serum. So it's frequently not the case that you would save blood tests on people to look at them historically. If you're a very big laboratory in a big country with a lot of resources and a large research portfolio, you may actually bank serum to look at stuff anonymously in the future. But we don't do that currently. The only bank that we have is our blood bank. And it is possible we could look to see if COVID was here before, as you say, before the first case that we believe to have been the first case. I think you may have seen the article that there was a case in France, I believe, where somebody actually was positive for COVID in December, long before. It could be that's what you're referring to, but long before, it started to hit the news.
Correct. Also, just a quick question on the tests. Are we still testing residents on the sister islands, or have we finished that round of testing?
We are pouring, well, first of all, Little Cayman is 100% tested, so that's good, that's done. And we've done 400 of the 2,000 residents on Cayman Brac. We will be proceeding to do Cayman Brac more extensively, and also reviewing the tests and renewing the tests for frontline and healthcare workers. And that is something that's ongoing. But at the moment, we're pouring all our resources into trying to make sure that our decisions that we're making are the right ones, to give the information to the government about the next steps that they're going to be taking in due course.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Lee. One final question. Following yesterday's announcement with 6 positive cases coming out of those at the government isolation facility, a question coming in from the public asking, is there any way that you would consider, say, testing people before they come on these repatriation flights, or obtaining a certificate from them saying that they're COVID-free before they're allowed back into the country?
I don't think we would do that for anybody who had legal residency here, because they need to come home. So those people will, and that is the category that are currently coming home. They are people that live and reside in Cayman, most of them being Caymanians. So that group of people, I don't see a usefulness for it, but in the future, it may be. So as we think about opening up, it's very possible that we'll think about how we might use tests in order to open up the country.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Dr. Lee.
Thank you very much, Reshma. Dr. Lee, thank you very much as well. I'd like to now call on Commissioner Byrne for his update.
Good afternoon. Just reporting in terms of the crime situation across the Cayman Islands, everything remains very stable and the policing and security environment is operating in very calmly. The hard curfew in Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac continues to operate well. Just a moment to mention speeding. Last week I mentioned speeding as a community concern, and over the past week our roads policing and traffic enforcement unit have carried out speed detection operations across Grand Cayman, and between Monday and Thursday of this week made 148 speeding detections. Tickets were issued in the majority of cases, and 6 of the detections reached a threshold for court prosecution, with the top speed recorded at 85 miles per hour. The persons warned for prosecution are liable to disqualification from driving upon conviction. Otherwise, all is very stable and calm across the Cayman Islands. I have prepared some statistics in terms of COVID-19, hard and soft breach of regulations, and some crime statistics. But I think today the time would be better spent dealing with changes that will take place in shelter-in-place and hard curfew regulations, which will come into effect next week, commencing Tuesday morning, the 19th of May 2020. There will be very little change over this bank holiday weekend, save an easing in exercise restrictions this coming Sunday, the 17th of May. So if I could, just to deal with the new curfew order and to go through the legal framework. Yesterday, the 14th of May 2020, as required under the provisions of Section 49(1) of the Police Law 2017 revision, I consulted with His Excellency the Governor of the Cayman Islands and advised him of the necessity to impose a new curfew order effective 5 a.m. this morning, Friday the 15th of May 2020. My advice was predicated on the basis that it appears to me that, having regard to the immediate threat of a serious hazard on Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac in the Cayman Islands associated with the COVID-19 pandemic, that there are reasonable grounds to believe that in the interest of public safety, it is necessary to impose a new curfew order. This morning, following a meeting of the National Hazard Management Executive, followed by a meeting of Cabinet, I have now received permission from His Excellency the Governor to impose a new curfew order effective this morning, Friday the 15th of May 2020, commencing at 5 a.m, running through until 5 a.m. on Tuesday morning, the 2nd of June 2020. In effect, this imposition of curfew order will be in place for 18 days through to the 2nd of June at 5 a.m. and will be subject to the following conditions. Just to mention Little Cayman, no curfew order is in place, and the only regulations applicable are contained in SL 45 of 2020. Looking to Cayman Brac, the hard curfew remains in place each night, including Sunday, between the hours of 8 p.m. and 5 a.m. through to the 2nd of June 2020. This means that only exempted essential services personnel may be on the road, outside and away from their residence during this period of hard curfew. The current regulations applicable to Cayman Brac are contained in SL 46 of 2020. And if I move then to Grand Cayman and try and break it down as best I can, soft curfew or shelter-in-place regulations contained in SL 42 of 2020, they were dated the 30th of April and came into effect on the 4th of May 2020, will remain in place until 8 p.m. On Monday next, the 18th of May 2020. Some changes on Tuesday morning, the 19th of May 2020 at 5 a.m. New shelter-in-place regulations will come into effect, which will remain in place until Monday night, the 1st of June 2020, and will have daily application between the hours of 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday. The new regulations will significantly ease existing shelter-in-place or soft curfew restrictions, and the Premier will address you shortly on the range of easing of restrictions contained in the new regulations. And in a moment, I will outline the changes in hard curfew hours and the easing of restrictions that will apply. Looking at hard curfew or full lockdown, save for exempted essential services personnel, will be in operation this coming bank holiday weekend. That is tonight through to and including bank holiday Monday, the 18th of May 2020, between the hours of 8 p.m. and 5 a.m. Over this coming weekend, beach access to public beaches on Grand Cayman remains in full 24-hour lockdown or hard curfew, and this remains in place until 5 a.m. on Tuesday morning, the 19th of May 2020. Exercise periods not exceeding 90 minutes is permitted between the hours of 5:15 a.m. and 7 p.m. today, tomorrow Saturday, this coming Sunday, and bank holiday Monday. Persons are permitted to drive for the purpose of exercising. Again, I repeat, there is no beach access on Sunday. Next Tuesday, the 19th of May, will see existing hard curfew restrictions eased. New shelter-in-place regulations coming into effect next Tuesday, 19th of May 2020, will introduce the following changes to hard curfew conditions. And to deal with beach access, effective 5 a.m. next Tuesday morning, the 19th of May 2020, persons will be permitted to exercise on public beaches between the hours of 5:15 a.m. and 7 p.m. Monday to Saturday only, subject to the restriction that surname and alphabet range will apply A to K Monday, Wednesday and Friday, and surname range L to Z on Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. Exercise periods are increased to 2 hours, and it is permitted to drive your vehicle to the beach or other location for the purposes of exercising. And to assist in understanding this easing of restriction, exercise is confined to a 2-hour period, and exercise includes swimming and fishing from the shoreline. This includes iron shore. Social distancing requirements apply, and persons should not congregate in groups of more than 2. No other inshore activities are permitted. No picnics or other social gatherings are permitted on public beaches. Turning to fishing, the restriction on fishing by boat has been relaxed, which means that between the hours of 5:15 a.m. and 7 p.m. Monday to Saturday only, use of a boat for fishing is permitted, subject to the condition that no more than 2 persons can be on a boat for the purpose of fishing. There is no inter-island travelling for fishing, and the following restrictions are in place as it relates to boats engaged in fishing. No exercise, fishing or boating is permitted at the following locations: Starfish Point, Rum Point and Sandbar. This means that a person may not anchor any boat, exercise on the beach, fish or swim, or carry out any activities in any of those mentioned areas. This does not impact persons residing beachside at those locations. This easing of curfew restrictions for boats does not include sailing boats and leisure craft, and is confined to water activity for fishing only, subject to the restrictions and exclusion zones mentioned above. In effect, hard curfew will be in place between the hours of 8 p.m. and 5 a.m. nightly from the 19th of May until the 2nd of June, and this includes each Sunday evening, removing the hard curfew or full lockdown between the hours of 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Each Sunday during the curfew period, save there will be no access to public beaches. And new shelter-in-place regulations will be gazetted later this evening. Take any questions, Donna.
Okay, thank you very much, Commissioner. Do we have any questions from members of the media for the Commissioner? Just wave your hand. Okay, we have one from April at Radio Cayman.
Commissioner, I'm sorry if
Hi,
you
April.
addressed this. I just, the signal was dropping in and out a bit. You said swimming and fishing allowed. Are people allowed to walk the beach as part of their exercise, or is that off limits?
No, walking would be permitted, absolutely. I should have said that, and if I omitted that, apologies. It's obviously exercises walking along the beach, but it includes fishing and swimming.
Thank you very much, sir. That helps.
Thank you, April.
Okay, we go next to Reshma from the Compass. Reshma, please go ahead.
Thank you, Donna. Commissioner, can you say if Sunday is going to remain a hard curfew day? I may have missed it if you mentioned it.
So this Sunday, we remain, it's nighttime curfew, 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. Exercise is permitted, which previously wasn't, but no beach access is permitted this or any other Sunday.
Okay, thank you. Just a quick question on the curfew cases, the curfew breaches. Can you say when those prosecutions are going to start and if it's going to be done in open court?
So Chief Justice issued a memorandum yesterday that the prosecution for hard curfew will commence next Tuesday, 5 cases per hour and possibly 25 cases per day during the week. It will be held in the town hall with strict social distancing protocols in place.
Okay, do you have an overall figure for how many cases we're looking at?
So we have to work that out with the courts and the DPP, but to date we have made 700, or we have detected 700 breaches of soft and hard curfew. That's a mix of hard, soft and ticketing detections made. There's a lot of work going on in terms of scheduling with the courts to get these all before. So next week, as the Chief Justice has indicated, we'll start the process with hard curfew cases only. And the ticketing situation, as you know from the introduction of the regulations, there's a 28-day period and then there's a 10-day period before a summons can issue. So a 38-day period from the 15th of April applies.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. That's all my questions for now.
Okay, we go next to Nikki Watson from CNS.
Hi, Mr. Byrne. I just have a couple of questions. The swimming, when the swimming is allowed on the beach, does that include snorkeling?
I think just the common sense application would be yes, within range of shore. I don't think we could exclude that. It doesn't specifically say it in the regulations, but it would be included as part of exercising.
Okay, great. And I'm sure you said this, but I just want to clarify. This coming Sunday is a hard curfew, and Monday, the holiday, that is also a hard curfew?
No, so I just explained the hard curfew this coming Sunday and Monday will only apply nighttime, 8 p.m. to 5 a.m.
Okay,
Sunday
sorry
restriction is moved during Sunday, but the only activity allowed or that had previously been subject of curfew is exercise is permitted this coming Sunday for a period of 90 minutes between 5:15 a.m. and 7 p.m.
Thank you very much.
Here we go now to Ralph at the Caymanian Times. Ralph?
Good afternoon, Commissioner, and thank you for your report. Just 2 clarifications. The first one is, can a family of 2 or more swim together?
Social distancing protocols should take place on the beach and in the water. It is agreed that families would be there, but that's children included. The general rule and the purpose and intent is that no more than 2 adults will congregate together.
Okay. Thank you. And the second one is, I know the answer to this, but I think that a number of listeners will want you to say, if anyone is stopped by the police officers and asked where they're going, is a police officer in his right to do that?
Yes, he is, and it's contained in the regulations to ask questions to establish that it is an essential movement provided for under the regulations.
And that's it for me, Don. Thanks.
Commissioner Byrne, if you could just mention again, exercise will be allowed on what days for what persons?
Okay, so it breaks up, and I suppose this is just to break down the complexity. This weekend, very little changes. You have a period of 90 minutes between 5:15 a.m. and 7 p.m. each evening, and that includes this Sunday, which had previously been prohibited by order of curfew. So that's the relaxation this weekend. As we move through next week, effective Tuesday, which is the 19th of May, new shelter-in-place regulations come into force or come into effect, and they will be gazetted this evening. The period of exercise will be increased to a period of 2 hours, and that will include a Sunday. And the nighttime curfew will kick in then 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. each night, right through until the 2nd of June. Does that answer that, Donna?
Yes, sir, it does. Another question, can you say what activities will not be allowed, i.e. paddleboarding, wave running?
So definitively no wave running, jet skis, that is absolutely prohibited, that marine activity. We're trying to interpret it as best we can. So swimming, snorkeling would seem to be reasonable. Kayaking and paddleboarding within, sight of shore would be something that I think can be accepted as exercise. I don't think we should go beyond stretching what we're trying to achieve here for intent and purpose.
Okay, thank you very much, Commissioner. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our Honourable Premier for his latest update.
Thank you, Donna. Hello, everyone. I think we can all have a small moment of celebration today, because I think, again, we've reached one of those key milestones. We've tested almost 9% of our population, and yesterday being the special situation that I think we all recognize it is, that the majority, not more than majority, all but one of the positives announced were travelers or are travelers. I think we can say that our strategy is continuing to bear good fruit. And Monday coming will be 2 weeks since we imposed the last set of shelter-in-place provisions and the hard curfew. And today, obviously, the Commissioner has indicated and signaled the changes, significant changes the government has agreed to make to the current restrictions. I want to thank the Commissioner for such clarity in his presentation. I think the best evidence of that is how few questions were actually asked of him, and it has made my job that much easier to explain these changes. The exercise point and the fishing point and the beach point, we know how important all of those are. And I will just, I think, repeat them again in the event that some people may not have been listening, or in case some further clarity is required. I like to try to break things down so that, because I know most people think this way, is how does this affect my life? How does this change my life? So for this weekend, there is very little in terms of change. That is Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. It will be pretty much as it has been for the past 4 weeks, except that there is no hard curfew during the daylight hours on Sunday. So that any activity you could carry out during the course of the rest of the week, you can carry out during Sunday. The beaches, of course, and the shoreline remain closed, so there can be no fishing, no boating, and no access to the beaches, no swimming at all on this weekend. The relaxation in those rules do not begin until Tuesday the 19th. So you'll be able to exercise on Sunday in the way you do during the rest of the week, because there is no alphabetical division of the population for the purposes of exercise. Similarly, with respect to the collection of food from restaurants, you can go to the restaurant, assuming it is open, and collect your food. So that is really the only significant change over the course of this weekend. But as the Commissioner has said, come Tuesday the 19th, when the new shelter-in-place regulations, which will be gazetted this afternoon, come into effect, persons will be able to access the beach for the purposes of exercise, and the Commissioner has done an excellent job, I think, in outlining what those involve. Walking, running or jogging, swimming, and the Commissioner has said it will also include paddleboarding and kayaking and snorkeling, but no other activities, no picnicking, no camping, no barbecuing, no sunbathing. It is for the purposes of exercise. And the exercise requirements, limitations now extend to 2 hours of exercise in the course of a day, as opposed to the 1.5 that has been the case for the past 4 weeks or 5 weeks, whatever it is now. So I think most people will welcome the ease of these restrictions. Fishing is allowed every day except Sundays, when the beaches and shorelines will remain closed from 5:15 a.m. until 7 p.m. That I know will also be welcomed. And fishing from boats is also permitted during this period, limited to 2 persons per boat, as is the case with Cayman Brac. I think everyone will understand why there are no-go zones in terms of in-water activity or the anchoring of vessels, and that is because Stingray City, Sandbar, Starfish Point, and the Rum Point area generally is one of our major marine attractions. It is an incredibly beautiful and unique place where the water runs to 3 or 4 feet or less, and all of us, or most of us, have at one time or another spent a lot of wonderful, happy times out there on a Saturday or a Sunday in the shallow water with friends and family, listening to music, drinking, and generally carrying on. And it is that type of behavior or conduct we really are seeking to prevent or to discourage during this critical period. As I think most people know, I'm not averse to any of that kind of behavior, but it is the public health risk involved now that we are really trying to continue to prevent. And so to avoid leisure boats and people congregating in those areas, restrictions are placed on in-water activity there. So while fishermen can traverse those areas in their boats on their way somewhere else to fish, there is to be no anchoring of boats or no in-water activity in those areas. So those are 2 key points that I know have been very, very important to people. And the reason that we are able really to make these restrictions with some ease of mind are because of the results, which continue to trend in very much the right direction. And on the advice and with the guidance of the Chief Medical Officer, we are able to move now from level 4, high suppression, to level 3, moderate suppression. I want to thank the people of this country, quite frankly, for the cooperation, generally the cooperation and support that the government has received and continues to receive to the measures or for the measures that we have taken and are taking. And the many sacrifices that so many of us are making to ensure that the virus does not spread rapidly throughout the community, harming health, causing death, and wreaking even more economic damage than the shutdown necessarily has done and is doing. But I want to caution that we do need to reopen the economy slowly, as we are doing. All around us, we look countries that have rushed and are rushing the reopening on the basis that they need to rescue the economy are being forced back into shutdowns, lockdowns again, because the virus starts to take off again through the community. We are trying very hard to avoid that happening to us. Hence the reason why, despite the very, very encouraging results, we are still proceeding with considerable caution. So I think I've dealt with the social bits of the new shelter-in-place provisions that ease restrictions in those areas and make people's lives a little more bearable and enjoyable. If I can now turn to the sort of business or economic aspect of the new provisions, we will allow, the new regulations will allow, come Tuesday the 19th, the reopening of hardware stores and Home Depots, car dealerships and other businesses which sell parts and maintain and repair vehicles. Also the reopening of, that means reopening of garages, as well as boat maintenance and repair businesses, car wash businesses, construction, building and maintenance businesses, including businesses which provide engineering, plumbing and electrical, air conditioning, and similar services. So one of the most difficult bits that, let me deal with the issue of masks before I go on to deal with the more involved and difficult bits about the reopening of construction and development sector. There are provisions in the regulations dealing with the wearing of masks, which mirror the provisions that in the regulations we've made for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. And essentially, they require the wearing of masks in all enclosed public spaces where it is difficult or impossible to distance yourself the required 6 feet or 2 meters from the next person. And the regulations will permit the proprietor of the establishment to deny entry to persons who refuse to comply with the regulation to wear masks within their premises. So coming now to how we deal with construction and development. As I indicated or foreshadowed in previous press conferences this week, this has been an area that has given us a great deal of trouble to come up with an arrangement which allows the reopening of that sector to be conducted fairly, but at the same time in a way that minimizes the public health risks inherent in the reopening of a sector with more than 8,000 workers, and in situations necessarily because of the nature of the work where people come in close contact with each other unavoidably. So because there are, at last count, 1,968 entities who have trade and business licenses to operate within the construction and development sector, we understood very swiftly that if that was the starting point, we would not be able to provide the required testing to that number of persons in relatively short order. So to cut through a whole lot of other detail, we reached a situation where we, in conjunction with the director of planning, who will be available, as will the minister of planning, to answer questions following our presentations here, to identify essentially what projects were either close to completion needing what is called final inspections only, and how many persons would be involved in getting that done, and then looking beyond that to other active projects, which are essentially projects which are already underway or were underway at the time that the lockdown was imposed. And as a result of consultation with the leads persons with respect to the first category I mentioned, which are the final inspections, we have identified, I believe, off the top of my head, 45 of those projects which will be allowed to proceed early next week because we have been able or are in the process of testing all of the personnel who would be involved, because the number is relatively small, somewhere just over 100 personnel. And of course, what this will do is once you get your final inspection and you get your sign-off, those trigger payments to the contractor. And obviously, the contractor is then in a better position to be able to pay subs. And the second category of that I just referred to involve construction projects for commercial and multifamily dwellings. We have about 65 of those different commercial and multifamily properties across Grand Cayman that are under active construction. And active means that the project has received an inspection since January this year. With these 65 projects, we anticipate up to 3,000 workers could be allowed back on the job. For this group, the project leads have also been contacted via email today and asked to submit the names of workers by project. Names should be submitted as soon as possible to the planning department in the prescribed format to allow for scheduling of the necessary tests or COVID-19 screenings. These screenings will take place on a first-come, first-served basis. Workers will be exempted by the competent authority after the testing is completed. If all goes according to plan, construction work for this second group, commercial and multifamily projects, could begin as early as next week. And the third group involves workers on single-family dwellings and duplexes. The project leads on these projects will be contacted during the week of May 25th. That is not next week, but the following, for the names of workers by project. Once again, these individuals would need to be ruled as COVID-free before they can return to work. Whilst it is estimated that the construction industry and supporting services involved is around 8,000 people, the government's strategy is to test up to 3,200 people within the next 2 weeks, starting the 18th of May. And once we have tested 40% of the construction population, and if the results allow, we then anticipate that the rest of the construction industry would commence work on the 1st of June. I should say in addition that Dr. Lee has indicated that they will continue testing even after these exercises are done, a number of field testing on a random basis to ensure that we continue to have the best possible readout on what the virus is doing or hopefully not doing in the broader community. And as I indicated at some of the earlier press briefings this week, Public Health will also be carrying out inspections without notice on projects that are restarted to ensure that the proper protocols are being observed, the wearing of masks, the distancing insofar that that is possible between persons who are working, and that there are adequate sanitation facilities to allow for the frequent washing of hands and the like, and that this is a particular concern with this particular sector, that the transportation of employees is being done in as careful and thoughtful and safe a manner as the circumstances will allow. I should say that conveniently leads me to mention the issue of public transport and the new provisions, the new regulations which come into effect on Tuesday the 19th make special provision for public transport. Essentially, all public transport vehicles will be required to operate at no more than 50% carrying capacity, and that all persons contained within the vehicle must wear masks at all times while they are within the vehicle. Just checking my notes to see that I have covered everything that I need to. Yes, I think that I have covered just about everything that these new shelter provisions change with respect to life as we have come to know it. I do hope and expect that they will be welcome. This easing of restrictions will be welcome broadly across the community. And please understand that the government is moving as quickly as we think is safe to try to bring back some sense of normalcy to life and to get the economic engine of the country moving again. We are keenly and deeply conscious of the economic damage that the shutdown has caused and is causing to businesses. Believe you me, government revenue itself has fallen off precipitously, almost by 50% in the past month. So we are keenly conscious of what is transpiring, but the public health issue and the safety and welfare and health of the nation still remains paramount. As I've said before, dead people don't make good customers or clients, and sick people don't make good workers. Thank you.
Thank you, Premier McLaughlin. Your Excellency.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. And I agree. I think this is a hugely important moment for us on the islands as we look to open the economy and we make some relaxation to some of the measures that socially we've all been living under. I first just want to welcome very much the test results today. That's a huge number of test results, well over 500. And I think that means we're now approaching 6,000 tests, which is almost 10% of our population. And in terms of the Global League for testing, we are up to 10th now in terms of the number of tests per head of population. So again, I think huge thanks to everybody involved in our testing process. And like Dr. Lee, I'm also very excited by the news of the immunity tests, the antibody tests that he mentioned, because although there is still some doubt about the science surrounding those and how long such immunity could last, this could be a very important additional tool in our armoury for tackling this very dangerous virus. So I think it is really welcome today that we can move to suppression level 3, and I know that the opening up of the beaches, the ending of the Sunday hard lockdown, and many of the other measures around opening up the economy will be welcomed. And like the Premier, I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody out there for getting us into this position, because it's thanks to all of you cooperating that we're able to announce these changes today. And again, we do know that we've asked an awful lot of you, but we are very grateful for your cooperation. I want to make an announcement on evacuation flights today, a very welcome step forward in that we have been able to arrange a British Airways flight to go to Manila in the Philippines. We have the agreement of the Philippines authorities for that, and this flight will depart from the Cayman Islands on Saturday, the 23rd of May, so next weekend. This flight will not bring anybody into our islands. It will be an evacuation flight for Philippine nationals who wish to return to Manila. The cost of the ticket will be $1,850 US. and the flight will go via London, but nobody will be able to get off in London. This is for people going back to the Philippines. Seats will be on sale from tomorrow. If you have registered with the travel helpline, you will be sent details of how to book tomorrow. So please do not call or email the travel helpline, as they will not have any further information today. So this is an emergency evacuation flight, and we predict it will be full because of the people who've already been in touch with us. And we will be encouraging all passengers to wear masks. So as I've said, there'll be nobody coming in from outside on this flight, largely because our isolation facilities are at capacity at the moment. I'm also pleased to announce that my office is in discussion about a separate airbridge flight to London Heathrow, and details will be announced on that soon. This is likely to be in the early part of June. We are also looking at additional British Airways airbridge flights for June, July and August, particularly August, when I know that a lot of people have students who need to go to school or university, and we're in touch with a large group of people who wish to go on such a flight. And we remain in contact with the Indian authorities about a flight there, and details will be shared just as soon as they become available. There are no more planned flights to US destinations at present, but we do expect to be organising flights to Miami, but we will not be organising flights to other destinations in the US. We would encourage people to go to Miami and then go on under their own steam from Miami. And then finally today, my shout out is to the Civil Service redeployment team, headed by Acting Deputy Chief Officer Lauren Knight, well supported by Joanna Bond, Karen Ford and Lisa Gager. So this team has been responsible for managing the redeployment process in the civil service, gathering information on 2,850 civil servants to determine who could be available for redeployment to support other tasks, other COVID-19 tasks. And they've successfully redeployed staff from the Internal Audit Service to assist with the soft loans programme. They've helped our curfew time team, and they've sent lots of volunteers to assist with the management of the isolation facilities. And I think this is yet another example of how the civil service has really stepped up in this crisis to help everyone on our islands. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Minister of Health.
Thank you, Donna. Good afternoon, everyone. Grand Cayman, Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, and our Caymanian diaspora listening in. As you've heard, the Premier in his announcement and what measures has been freed up or relaxed. Please take this time to think about how you manage what is available to you. We are not by any means out of the woodwork. And as I've said, there are those that just want this to go away and criticize that there wasn't even a coronavirus and it's all a hoax. Well, I say to you, just look at New York and Italy and the amount of deaths worldwide and decide for yourself. Scripture reading for today is Galatians 6. Brothers and sisters, if someone is caught in a sin, you who live by spirit should restore that person gently, but watch yourselves, or you may be also tempted. Carry each other's burden, and in this way fulfill the law of Christ. If anyone thinks they are someone when they are not, they deceive themselves. Each one should test their own actions. Then they can take pride in themselves alone without comparing themselves to someone else. For each one should carry their own load. Nevertheless, the one who receives instruction in the word should share all the good things with their instructor. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. Whoever sows to please their flesh, from their flesh will reap destruction. Whoever sows to please the Spirit will reap eternal life. Let us not become weary in doing good. For all the proper time, we reap a harvest if we do not give up. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially to those who belong to the family of believers. May God add a blessing to the reading of his holy word. I want to note that this Sunday, May 17th, Williams Production in association with Radio Cayman are pleased to bring you a broadcast of the Crab Family Concert held at the Lions Theatre 2018. Performing is our very own local singers, Rico Rolando, William White, Jaden Hanna. Relive the memories of a special tribute broadcast in honor of all of our essential frontline heroes working to keep our island safe. Join Radio Cayman and Cayman Life TV Channel 33 from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Also CIG TV from 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Also want to shout out happy birthday to Iante and Charlene L. As I've mentioned recently, over the past couple of weeks, the flu clinic at the HSA has steadily seen a decrease in numbers, which is very good. It's a reflection that the incidence of flu-related illnesses are diminished. Therefore, starting this weekend, the HSA will be reducing the hours of the flu clinic in Grand Cayman. The clinic will be open on Saturdays and Sundays between the hour of 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. During the week, the hours of this clinic will remain the same for 8 a.m. 4 p.m. Faith Hospital will also continue their flu clinic Monday to Friday as they have been. I continue to be impressed by the responsiveness of this business community to support the healthcare sector in this crucial time as we confront this global health emergency. In this regard, I'd like to make special mention of the Caring for Life Foundation for their recent donation to the HSA for the purchase of vital life-saving medical equipment for the care of patients with COVID-19. The foundation's donation of $50,000 expands the capacity of the HSA to care for more ventilated patients and those requiring critical care services if necessary. The Caring for Life Foundation is a community-driven charity that raises funds to purchase equipment and supplies for our healthcare system. Over the years, they have made many contributions to help better the lives and the medical outcomes of those who need it most. Thank you to the directors of the foundation for this generous donation, Caring for Life Foundation. I would also like to speak today to the community-based distribution of reusable cloth masks. Currently, an initiative is underway to provide reusable cloth masks to all members of the community within the Cayman Islands via one of the clusters in the National Emergency Operations Center. 100,000 reusable cloth masks have been procured, 50,000 from a supplier in Jamaica, and 50,000 from Haynes, a company in the USA. I wish to thank the DART group for their assistance in helping us to procure the masks from Haynes. The police and community support officers of the RCIP, under the leadership of the Inspector Miles, commenced distribution of the masks door to door across all 3 islands earlier this week, and by the end of yesterday, a total of 2,735 masks had been distributed, 600 in the sister islands and 2,135 in Grand Cayman. Distribution will continue until all households in all 3 islands have been supplied with masks. Flyers with instructions for the care and proper use of the masks are also being provided to ensure maximum effectiveness. These masks have also been provided to frontline essential service personnel with many public safety and other customer-facing agencies, including the police, prison, border control, airport authority, and water authority. They will also be included in the return to work PPE kits for all government entities, including SAGs, in preparation for phased reactivation. To ensure access to supermarkets, as of today, police officers are on site at all locations and will have a limited supply of disposable masks to give anyone who comes out without one. This can be done immediately. And the reusable cloth masks, they are provided at all the same time. It can be utilized after it had been washed, per the instructions on the accompanying flyer. Positive feedback has already been received from persons across the islands who received their masks within the last few days, and officers will continue their door-to-door visits over the long weekend to take advantage of the fact that more people will be at home. Additionally, all MLAs were supplied with additional disposable masks on Wednesday of this week for distribution within their constituencies. These initiatives are but another measure being taken to ensure the health and wellness of all persons. I must emphasize that in addition to wearing a mask, you must continue to practice good hand hygiene, proper respiratory etiquette, and adhere to the prescribed minimum social distance requirement. Many thanks to all involved in these distributions initiatives. Keep safe, everyone. May God bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. Fell. Member McLaughlin.
Thank you, Donna. If I might just come back on to address a couple or three issues really that I didn't address at all, and others that people are questioning me about because it might limit the number of other questions that I get. So one of the points is about exercise and driving to exercise and exercise on the beaches. So starting on Tuesday, people will once again be able to drive to whatever point they go to do their exercise. And going to the beach to exercise, of course, is allowed now, but only on your assigned letter day. And so that people understand the thinking behind this, it's not because we want to be mean. It is because we are trying to limit the number of people on the beach at any given time. By using the assigned letter day, as it's come to be known, it means we divide the population in two. The potential number of people on the beach at any given time is therefore halved. And so the alphabetical division of the population will be used for access to the beach. The other point I need to make so that I can explain, because I can understand why people get frustrated by this. Why does it have to be limited to 2 persons per boat? We've done the same thing in Cayman Brac. So I have a family of 3, a family of 4. It's me and my 2 sons. Why can't the 3 of us go or the 4 of us go at once? Very reasonable question. It is simply because the police do not have the wherewithal to stop and check every boat that has more than 2 persons to see whether they are members of the same household or not. They need to be able to discern very swiftly, is it 2 people only or is it 3? And if it's 3, then it's over the limit. They do not have the bandwidth, the capacity to be able to police this in a way. I just ask everyone to see with us, as we say in these parts. If all goes well, this is only for another 2 weeks or so. So help us to keep progress going so that we can get back to normal, where it doesn't matter how many people you have in your boat as long as you comply with the marine regulations. The other point I want to make, which I didn't make at all, was about the regulations now allow access by people within a strata to their pools and to their tennis courts. But this physical distancing requirements are still in force. So if you are not a member of the same household, if you are not members of the same household, congregation in the pool or on the tennis court is limited to 2 persons. But if it's a family or if it is a group from the same household, because people are not always family that live in a household, that's another complication. But it's 3 of you, you can go to the pool together, but only 1 other person may be there interacting with you at any given time. So this is all very awkward, we understand. But again, I pray patience for all going well. It's just another 2 weeks of this sort of limitation.
Thank you, Premier McLaughlin. That leads me to my first question from the public. I believe Commissioner Byrne might be able to answer this as it relates to the beaches and transportation. There are people already saying, oh, there are going to be people out there who are going to try to take advantage of this. How will you be able to, how will you and your officers be able to manage these changes?
Yeah, that's a key question, I suppose. And a lot of it boils down to social responsibility. The premise is that people will understand the regulations, understand the intent and purpose, and comply with the regulations. The police officers will be out, and we will be asking for identification to ensure that it is your assigned alphabet range date. And I think that's as much as I can say at the moment. We're hoping that people will comply with the regulations, understand, as the Premier has outlined, why they're introduced, apply social responsibility. We're trying to protect communities, save lives, understand what it's all about, and a couple of weeks' time, move towards getting back to normal, I think.
Okay. I do have another question for you, Commissioner Byrne. Are your officers and security officers at the banks allowed to ask persons to remove their masks?
Okay, so I haven't come across that one. Security officer wouldn't have any powers. The police officers have powers under the regulations to question persons, to establish the legitimacy of their business, to ensure that it's on a proper letter day, and but the test for removing the mask would be, can I hear you, can I interpret you? So it's not a case of just removing your mask. It must be removing for a particular reason.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I do have a question for you, Your Excellency.
Donna, just to pick up on that point.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner, that's fine. Is that the regulations actually provide, and I mentioned it, that in terms of the security officer working for the bank or for the supermarket, if the person does not wear a mask, they can prevent them from entering the facility.
Yes. Okay.
But I don't know if they can force them to take it off unless they.
Yeah, but the banks are, security officers at the banks are doing it. They're asking people to, just for a second, just like they can get a view of their faces before they go into banks. So it's happening. Yeah. Thank you very much. Minister?
I want to say that, and Dr. Lee could probably chime in here, in terms of what is the reason why people would fear taking off their mask for 2 seconds just to match their ID, and what dangers would that cause? It would be good if you could chime in on that, Dr. Lee.
Thank you for the opportunity. I think I've received a similar query as well, which I thought it would be, so it's great to hear what the Commissioner says. My understanding is that people are being asked to take off their masks and perhaps leave them off for the duration of their visit in the bank, in order that the bank's cameras can pick up their faces, which I wouldn't have thought, I don't think is acceptable under the regulations. They would need to put the masks back on, and I can see the Commissioner nodding at me here. So I understand for brief recognition, but that would be the limit of that, because we wish people to wear masks in enclosed places, and that would include banks, in order to protect from any potential of spread from one person to another. If I may, now that I've got the stand, also just to add something. Sure. I need to correct my earlier announcement. I understand that the 2 people who were inpatients at the Health City have now been discharged, so that's great news. There are no inpatients in Cayman who have COVID, even though those people weren't suffering with COVID itself. So.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Lee. Thank you very much for that. I do have a few more questions before we move to the rest of the media for the panel. Your Excellency, yes. Any updates on flights to Jamaica? Any updates and discussions there?
There are discussions going on, but I have no more information to be able to give on that today.
Okay. Premier McLaughlin, all those persons who are now being released back into the workforce in construction and other areas, do those companies now have to follow suit with the other industries that were open and write curfew time to make sure that their persons or their staff are seen as essential or exempted workers?
Yes, that process is still very much the same. The address is www.exploregov.ky/curfew time. It's a website, not an email address anymore. But yes, the way the process works is so the regulations can declare a certain type of business activity exempt from the shelter-in-place provisions. Or curfew time can, in accordance with government policy, also designate outside the need for cabinet to do so a certain category of business or a certain business to be exempt. But in order for the police to know who is on the road for the essential purpose, they need some evidence. Hence, the practice required that you, the proprietor, the manager, the CEO, whatever, write to the competent authority and say, John Brown and Mary Ebanks are essential workers for my business, which has been exempted. Would you please provide me with an appropriate letter? And then you get the letter. So all that happens is you get one letter that covers everybody.
Right.
And then the business person, the HR person, whoever it is, writes a letter saying, Mary Ebanks works for my company, which has been declared exempted, and I need them to be on the road so they can come to work, deliver, whatever the case may be. It's worked very, very well over the course of the last 6-7 weeks. So it's just going to be a lot more of them on the road now than it was before.
Yes, sir. There are some companies who were recently granted permission to do deliveries, who may now are very much involved in the construction industry as well. Do they then have to rewrite to curfew time as well, now that they're going to be delivering other services?
No.
Okay. Once they've been given permission to conduct delivery, what about if those persons would need to go to the companies? Then that's...
Well, the list of, or the category of businesses that I just described are the new ones that have been added to this list. So yes, they will all have to go now and get letters for their folk. Or if the scope of what they are allowed to do has been extended, which is the case, for instance, with respect to the Home Depots, who have been allowed to do deliveries and curbside pickup, people will now be able to go inside the store.
Okay. That leads me to a question about another large industry, which are the beauty salons. Mm-hmm. They're small businesses mostly, and for the most part, and they're crying out as to when they're going to be considered to,
right,
be open.
Lord knows I would like to. I would like them to be open too. This is the longest my hair has been in many, many years. But this is one of the most dangerous areas because of the need for very, very close contact. It's impossible to cut someone's hair from 6 feet away. So we really need, and this is the advice we receive, we really need to be more confident than we currently are before we can actually reopen that aspect. We need, what that means is we need the results of more tests. So, but I would hope that in a few weeks, and I don't mean months either, I mean in a few weeks, at the rate we're going, in another couple of weeks, we should have close to 10,000 test results. And depending what they say, we will then consider whether or not we think that is a manageable risk.
Okay.
But it is a most essential service. And the governor has abilities that I don't have. He can cut his own hair.
Badly.
So does the Minister of Health, but I haven't been brave enough to try it. I think I'll have to take it all off. I think I'm going to probably have to wear a cap to press briefings in the next few weeks if it keeps on like this.
Okay, what about pest control companies?
Yes, they're exempted as well.
Okay. Gas stations, will they now be able to open on Sundays?
Yes.
Okay. All righty, I think that's it for me for questions.
That's good.
I know there are lots of other questions, however. I'm just, trying to give my...
I'm sure there are no more questions after all that.
We're going to go first to, I believe, let's go to Reshma over at the Cayman campus. Reshma?
Thank you, Donna. My first question, and lots of questions keep coming in for these new changes. A point of clarification, Premier, do all construction workers need to be tested before they're back out to work?
No, no, but all construction workers are not going back to work immediately. It is only those for the projects that have active status, and they are all being it's being dealt with project by project, so that what they're considering is all of the workers that are necessary for a project. And in the case of the small companies, all of their personnel will be tested before they're allowed back on. And in the case of the companies that have bigger numbers, somewhere around 25% of their personnel will actually be tested. But it is hoped that we would have tested around 3,200 of them by the time we get to the end of the month.
Okay, thank you. Still on the clarifications. Now, you talked about the beach access, which begins on Tuesday, will only be through the alphabet system. Sunday is not an alphabet day. What's the plan for Sunday when it comes to beach access or exercise?
That's the reason why there's no beach access or access to the shoreline on Sunday, because we couldn't figure out how to be fair on Sunday.
Okay. All right, great, thanks. Now, in terms of the repatriation flights that were announced, this maybe you can answer or the governor can answer. In a previous press conference, we had talked about the recovery fund being used to assist those who may need help getting out of the country. Is that still the case, or is government contemplating releasing the repatriation fee or work permit fees back to, say, small businesses? Because we've had comments come in from them asking for that kind of assistance to help get workers that they can't keep anymore get home.
Well, what I would say is if there are companies in that position, then they should let us know through the Department of Labor and Pensions or through work, so that we know how to manage the situation. I'm not going to sit here and create a free-for-all by saying that government is going to repatriate anyone who wants to go home.
But I could just add to that, just from my own discussions with some of the private sector individuals involved in the fund, that I think that is something that they are willing to look at as well as that fund gets up and running. So there are non-government possibilities here as well, I think.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, there's a particular situation that was brought to my attention in relation to school bus operators and problems with payments. A couple of employees reached out and said, in particular from one of the bus companies, that they have not been paid, and they were told that government has not released funds in order for them to pay their employees. I don't know if this is something you can address or investigate, Premier.
Well, let me just explain the situation. So we're talking about school buses now. So a number of companies have contracts to transport school children on behalf of the Cayman Islands government. Government pays the contractor for the provision of certain services. Government does not have direct responsibility for employees of those contractors. The persons that you are speaking about not being paid are employees of the bus transportation companies, or I know of one company in particular that has not paid its staff. I know of other companies that have paid their staff. The difficulty that government has had, the Ministry of Education has had, which we are sorting through, I'm happy to say, because we understand everybody's in a difficult time and in crisis, is that government financial regulations do not allow government to pay for services which it is not receiving. And no services, or very limited services, I put it that way, because some of or at least one of the bus companies has been contracted by government to move people who have returned to Cayman from the airport to the isolation facilities. But certainly that was not really within the contemplation of the contract to carry school children. So because they are not providing the service, no fault of theirs, but because they are not providing this service, there is not a basis for government to pay the contractor. And the people who handle this, the CFOs and those, are very mindful of what the financial regulations permit and don't permit. So they have been in the process of developing a workaround which would be acceptable to the Auditor General to allow payment to the bus contractors even though they are not providing the service. But they're not providing the service. It's not their fault they're not providing the service. It's the circumstances. So I've spoken to the Deputy Governor today about it, and he says he's satisfied that an appropriate workaround has been found, and we hope in the course of next week that we'll be able to pay the bus contractors. But the bus contractors have an obligation to their staff, regardless of whether they get paid or not, because the employment contract is not between the bus warden and the government, but between the bus warden and the bus transportation contractor. But as I say, we're all very sympathetic to what's going on. But as I say, I know most of the bus companies have understood that their obligation is to their employees, and they've taken the hit and have paid their employees while trying to get this sorted with government. But some haven't, obviously.
Thank you for that, Premier. My final question is in relation to the mandatory masks now in public spaces. For those who may have problems wearing the masks, is there any avenue open to them? Any sort of medical clearance that they would require that would give them that exemption to, say, go into public spaces without wearing a mask? Is that provided for in the regulations at all?
Yes, it is.
Include.
Okay, so what does that entail then?
Just as you said, a medical evidence, a certificate, a letter, or something from a medical practitioner that says that they're not able to wear a mask.
Okay, great.
And I stand to be corrected, but I think what needs to be clarified is that if you're not within a public building, inside a building, and you're not within 6 feet of someone, you don't have to wear a mask in the open.
Reshma, did you get that?
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you. That's my questions for today.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to go now back to Nikki Watson from CNS.
Yes, hello. While we're talking about masks, a lot of people are still saying that they have not heard from their MLA and they don't know how to get into contact with them. So would it be possible to just post the MLA's contact details on the coronavirus website or something so people know how to contact them?
I can work on from my end, and but I know they personally all got. Plus, I read out earlier that the many other methods that we're using. The police are coming door to door, and that effort also in the Red Cross, and most persons should know where their district MLA office is. They should all have an office somewhere in their constituency. If they don't, then I make a plea for them to make themselves available and post their numbers so that their constituents can reach them.
Okay, thank you for that. And while I've got the health minister, at what point are you thinking of opening up the hospital and the doctor's office and the dentist so that people can go for non-emergency or critical appointments? How far down the road is that?
I would hate to guess. Is Dr. Williams on here?
Yes, he is. Or Dr. Lee can you address the question, Dr. Lee?
Yeah, thanks for the question.
I'm assuming it's not in the regulations currently because I haven't actually seen them.
No.
Okay. So the decision about, as you know, as many of you will know, you are entitled, you're absolutely free to attend your practitioner, whether it be a GP or a hospital specialist, for an urgent issue, and that has been described as something that is time sensitive or that needs attention, often because it's giving pain or there are symptoms or bleeding that need investigation and so on. So that can go on now. And certainly telemedicine, of course, is available for some of the more routine efforts, more routine reasons. But clearly there are times when you'll need to actually see face-to-face a doctor, they'll need to examine you and so on, and it may not be an urgent issue. The Health Practice Commission has been the body that's been advising practitioners on what to do and when to do it, and they're keenly aware that people need to get back to see their doctors, and it's being reassessed by the HPC all the time. I would imagine that at the next level it's likely there'll be a change again. I can't promise anything. That's obviously always going to be a government decision. Alongside the HPC, but I would have thought it would probably be at the next level.
Thank you very much. I have a couple of questions, I think, for the Premier now. They're just quick ones, nothing difficult. You talked about the strata, so people can, and under the conditions that they can use the pool and the tennis courts, but what about the playgrounds? Will kids be allowed to use the playgrounds in the strata, and can they play with their friends in the strata?
I should bring up Dr. Lee to answer this because he'll do so very much more effectively than me, but the answer is no.
Can you say no any better, John?
He is absolutely terrified of that prospect. And the reason... He gives us lectures every day, so that's how I know these things. Is that children are, unfortunately, the biggest single, as a group, the biggest single vector of the disease. They are generally asymptomatic. Children find it naturally very difficult to socially distance, and therefore they transmit the disease very, very effectively. And hence the need to keep playgrounds closed. And indeed, I addressed the question about early childhood facilities, learning centers. Again, those would be among the last things that are released from restriction.
Okay, and one more. The hardware shops are open now, but what about office supply and bookshops?
They are still subject to delivery and curbside collection for the time being. The only places that have been opened up as facilities where people can actually walk in are those that have been deemed to be big enough and have the ability to put in place the distancing protocols around the way people operate in there. That's the rationale for limiting it essentially to the big places, A.L. Thompson's, Kirkholme Center, Uncle Bill's, Cox, those sorts of places that are big enough that can effectively manage the protocols.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Nikki. We do have a few questions for Minister Hugh. We're going to go first to April Cummings from Radio Cayman. April, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Minister Hugh, you recently announced the package of support and services for some of the business community. What kind of response have you gotten? And how is that all working in terms of people applying for and receiving benefits?
Thank you, April, and good afternoon to everyone. If you give me 2 seconds, I will give you an update as of Wednesday afternoon. So we have 2 programs. As you mentioned, we have the loan program in association with the Cayman Islands Development Bank, and then we have the grants program. On the grants program, we received 219 applications as of Wednesday evening. We have processed 205 of those applications. 129 have been submitted to be paid. 53 further applications were submitted today for payment, and 14 were not qualified. On the loans, we received 32 loan applications. We have reviewed 32 and have submitted 21 to the Cayman Islands Development Bank for the final credit checks and processing.
Thank you. That helps with the numbers. What is your sort of sense in terms of the feedback and response you're getting about what's being provided? Are they happy about it? Do they need more? Just trying to get your take on what's happening in that sort of the medium and small business community and micro businesses.
We had a very, very strong response of interest at the beginning. However, we noticed that interest curtailed once we announced the pensions opportunity. So I think a lot of persons have decided to take the route of focusing on accessing their pensions. We also had one of the hurdles we face is the inability to have face-to-face meetings and to physically assist persons with the application process. So it has taken a little longer and a little more frustrating to do so via the telephone or via email where we cannot video conference. Another hurdle that we overcame this week was that there were a few applications or persons who had interests that were not licensed by the Trade and Business Licensing Board but under other laws, or who had exemptions from being licensed under the Trade and Business License Board, such as cottage industry businesses. And so I issued a directive on Monday that all of those businesses would qualify for the grants application. So we are trying to make it as streamless and as easy as possible for persons to complete the application process. And we are now finding our rhythm and have worked out all the kinks with getting out the payments, et cetera. So we'll continue to work along those lines.
One more thing, are you finding people taking advantage of the opportunity for some of the other aspects, not just grants or loans, but help in reframing their businesses under, it was one of the things we talked about is that not all businesses really have a place right now. Have you had much success with folks working through the process of redefining their businesses or reshaping how they operate?
Yeah, we have had a lot of feedback in that area, and we've had quite a tremendous response in the participation. Each one of the webinars have had well over 250 persons participating in our webinars. They've been very well received and are going very well. And so I would actually like to take the opportunity to congratulate and thank the team down at the Cayman Islands Business Development Center for the hard work. They have been working some extra long hours answering the phones, assisting people with their applications, while at the same time facilitating these webinars and training seminars.
Thank you very much. Those are all my questions.
You're welcome.
Okay, Minister Hugh, we're going to go now to Reshma from the Cayman Compass. She has some questions for you.
Thank you, Donna. Good afternoon, Minister Hugh. Just a quick question on the NRA program and the roadworks. They announced that this week. Can you give us an update on how it has been going? And also with more workers heading out, more construction, with construction restarting, how are you going to manage the roadworks versus more cars, more people back out on the road?
Yeah, we had hoped to get a little bit ahead of that, but it took a while for us to get the testing done on our crews. And of course, it's not just the NRA crews that needed to be tested, but also the island paving crews. So we are up and going. The guys are moving as quickly as they can. We have a few days before more of the industries open up and the traffic gets a bit harder. I anticipate that if necessary, we will have to take advantage of the hard curfew time in some of the busier intersections. Shedden Road, North Sound Road, those streets we've been trying to upgrade for quite a while now. But with the traffic congestion that we had been experiencing over the last few months, it was never a perfect time. So we're focusing on those now, and perhaps we will have to appeal to the competent authorities to do those during the hard curfew time when there's no traffic.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's all I needed.
Okay, thank you, Minister Hugh. Thank you, Reshma, for that. I have a few more questions as it relates to those who conduct home repairs, persons who conduct home repairs. I believe that you had mentioned that those smaller companies that do that sort of work would come online later, but could you clarify that for us?
Right. So at the moment, home repairs, which are emergencies, there are exemptions for people to go and do that, but not a general exemption for persons to do, sort of general home repairs at this stage. They'll come online, I think, fairly swiftly, within a couple of weeks. But currently is the categories that I went through in some detail at the beginning, for a number of reasons. But the principal one is that we want it to be safe. And we want to make sure that the people who are coming into your home are unlikely to be bringing the virus with them.
Also, new moms-to-be, baby shops, anything further for them?
Well, you're testing my memory now, but I think we exempted baby shops some long time ago now.
They've been open.
So they're fully open, or it's just for delivery services?
I can't recall. I don't like to make mistakes if I can avoid them. So
Sure. No worries.
But we'll be back again before long.
Okay. Any further comments from our panel today before we?
I've just had a note from the Postmaster General. This is a question that keeps getting asked. So if you don't mind, I'll just read it. The Postal Service began testing outgoing international mail this week. We are still awaiting confirmation of 2 final steps of the process before we satisfy ourselves that this will work to serve our customers going forward. As such, we expect to be able to make an official announcement next week as to the lifting of the formal suspension and advise customers what will be possible and what will not at this time. Many countries still have their own borders officially closed. As relates to incoming international mail service, on 1st of May 2020, the Postal Service advised all our international partners how to resume sending their mail to Cayman, as it's the sending country's responsibility to get the mail here. We continue to keep our key partners informed, the United States, Canada, and the UK, as to incoming mail options as they may happen. And these countries are well aware that their citizens here in Cayman are eagerly awaiting items that have been posted but are still in the country of origin. The Postal Service in Cayman is simply waiting until these countries can resume getting their mail to us again.
Thank you very much.
Hope that helps.
Thank you very much. Just a reminder about the concert that the Minister of Health mentioned earlier, the Crab family in Cayman in honor of essential frontline heroes. Again, the live broadcast will take place this Sunday, May the 17th. You can watch it here on CIG TV from 5:30 in the evening till 7:30, or you can listen in on Radio Cayman at 7 p.m. to 9, or watch it on Cayman Live TV, channel 33 on Logic from 7 to 9 p.m. as well, as you can go on Cayman Live TV's Facebook page. Again, that is this this Sunday. Before we go, of course, a reminder to go online to gov.ky/coronavirus, to the FAQ section if there's a question that you may have that hasn't been answered as yet. We'd like to thank you, the public, for joining us, of course, to our all-important members of the panel and those joining us here in the room and via Zoom. We invite you to join us here again on Tuesday. Have a great holiday weekend. And for those watching, we leave you now with a look at today's regional and world statistics.